3488 or check us out online at eccguns.com. Everything concealed carry. Joe is back, and so are the deals.
Who are you?
He had a voice that could make a wolverine purr.
That's what I'm talking about, man.
Wait a minute. I know you.
You got the name tag. You're in my world now, Grandma.
I know that, dude.
He's a modern-day Yoda.
I'm your huckleberry.
Allow myself to introduce myself.
Greetings and salutations.
We came, we saw, we kicked its ass.
You're excited. Feel these nipples.
That boy's good. Good and terrible.
Well, I have a microphone, and you don't.
So you will listen to every damn word I have to say!
This is the Mike Rutherford Show on the Big X.
Sportos and motorheads, geek bloods, wastoids, dweebies, they all adore him. They think he's a righteous dude.
Welcome to the Mike Rutherford Show, presented by United Mechanical, your trusted partner for commercial and industrial HVAC, electrical, plumbing, and refrigeration. Call United Mechanical at 502-339-1133.
All right. Welcome, everybody. This Thursday, December 4th. This is the Mike Rutherford Show, presented by United Mechanical and Nexus Plus. Coming to you live from the world-famous University of Louisville College of Business Studios here in the heart of defeated Louisville, Kentucky. Cards fans, if you're looking for a competitive advantage in today's data-driven world, look no further than earning your master's in business analytics from the University of Louisville in just 12 months. There's no previous coding experience required. You'll delve into the world of analytics and data visualization. You'll learn essential tools like R, Python, Power BI, machine learning, and more. These classes are now available both online or in person. To get started or to learn more, visit business.louisville.edu today. We're on the air from 2:32 until 5:30 here on 1450 AM, 96.1 FM, streaming across the land, including on the Big X Sports Radio YouTube channel, airing live on WBNA Channel 21. You know us better as the Big X. Mike Rutherford, Roman Kelly with you on a Thursday edition of the show as we react to, unfortunately, the first men's basketball loss of the season. The eighth. Oh, there it is. What's this? What's that from?
I don't know.
Where'd you find it?
YouTube.
Just like sad music sound?
Sad sound effect.
It sounds like it's from a movie that I've seen before, like a TV show.
I think it's a famous song.
It definitely seems familiar. It sounds like something that they would use going into like a melancholy scene in Game of Thrones.
I was about to say, it's definitely like a funeral song in Game of Thrones.
Yeah, something like that, where they transition back to the widow.
Lord Eddard Stark died.
Yeah, just getting over her husband's death or something like that. That's what you would hear.
She's looking out the, looking upon Winterfell or whatever.
We could have also gone with the NFL on Fox injured player transition music. Would have worked. Either way, well done. It's a sad day here on the show as we react to Louisville taking a loss in men's basketball for the first time this season. Not much time to lick wounds, though. The Cards will play Indiana on Saturday in Indianapolis in a game that I think has taken on some new meaning for both teams because the Hoosiers,
who looked bogus last night,
They go on the road. They lose to Minnesota, the best team that they've played so far. And all of a sudden, IU fans now are going to be looking for a big win on Saturday to kind of justify their top 25 ranking and belief that they're going to be an NCAA tournament team without much issue. So we'll talk a little bit more about that tomorrow. We may touch on it briefly today because I think there's some things going on with Louisville's non-conference schedule that need to be addressed. We've also got the Louisville women's team in action tonight against South Carolina. Dawn Staley and the two-time national champions under her watch are in town. It's a stripe out at the KFC Center. If you've got tickets to the game, make sure you check out the guide tonight to figure out what color you're supposed to be wearing. They've got that available on GoCards.com as well as the Louisville women's basketball Twitter account, the GoCards Twitter account. Check it out. Don't look like an idiot. Make the stripe out work. But a big-time spot for the Cards tonight against South Carolina as they look to significantly bolster their NCAA tournament resume. Lions play tonight, big-time game. Got the Lions gear on here. kind of feels like a loser leaves town match against the Cowboys. We need this one tonight. So big night of athletics ahead for us, but we will spend a lot of time today reacting to what happened last night in Fayetteville, Arkansas. I'm sure you're all, I know you're already reacting on the Game Day Men's Health text line. The number there, 502-414-1450. Lots of texts already coming in. We'll get to you today. If you want to comment on the YouTube channel, you can do so as well. Again, YouTube, Big X Sports Radio Louisville is the channel. Roman, I'm going to start off with a question for you. You know, we talked a lot about the game yesterday. We discussed our fear of losing to Kenny Payne and John Calipari. I mean, I said straight up, I picked us to win. I think you picked us to win. But I was like, this is a game that on paper, it looks like one that you would drop. You know, caged animal in Arkansas that's lost to the only two good teams that it's played so far this season. First true road game for Louisville. First big-time home game for Arkansas and a fan base that's desperate to get back to the top of the mountain or near the top of the mountain. A lot of athletes, a lot of promise. They just haven't lived up to that potential so far. And it ends up coming to fruition, I think, in a different way than we thought. I certainly did not think that we were ever going to fall behind by 20 points and trail by 18 in the first half. But I was very worried about losing this game just from the Kenny Payne, John Calipari element of this whole thing. It's now happened. We've lost a game for the first time. What's your primary? I mean, how worried are you, I guess, is the question that we start off with today.
That was the question I didn't want to have to get into so early because I can't tell yet. I don't want to be worried because I've seen the highs of this team. I've seen us hit shots and what we look like when we're hitting shots and when we're turning defense into offense and communicating well on defense, which we didn't do at all last night. I think this is also, I'm not trying to troll here,
sure,
the first true test we've had. I don't mean that just because of what the other teams have done. I mean that because of what the actual skill level and how hard those other teams play on both ends of the floor is.
I don't hate that take.
I think that you could tell from the start that Arkansas wanted to win this game more. And that kind of hit us in the face a little bit, started making you settle for shots, started making you being a lot more fearful of making mistakes. That's not something you can be in a Pat Kelsey system. Then your things are getting slowed down. It's a game of inches almost for Pat Kelsey system when you're playing that chaos ball, right? Because it comes down to the screens, the off-ball players, the decisions you make quickly, getting out of spots, getting defenders to move their feet, getting them on their back heels. We weren't doing any of those things from the very start of this game, and we started settling for jump shots, kind of being a little bit tentative, and that resulted in a lot of bad possessions and them kind of honing in on that, the Razorbacks. And I think you saw a lot of the loose balls and 50-50 balls kind of not going our way, them wanting those kinds of things more, and we never really got out of that, I felt like, the entirety of the game. We adjusted in terms of what we were doing a bit, but the intensity of how we were going about stuff just never really shifted strong enough in our favor, at least not long enough in the game.
So I agree with everything that you're saying. Let me rephrase the question. Big picture-wise, do you feel differently about this team now than you did 24 hours ago?
No.
That's kind of where I am, and I think that can be true. I don't want to do the whole, well, I don't care about this. I'm disappointed in the way that they played last night, and I think there are things that happened that are concerning if they don't get addressed. I still think, I didn't take the loss as hard as I thought I was going to. Don't get me wrong.
After that Woolley 3, I thought we were maybe going to win.
Oh, there was a moment there. There were multiple moments where I was like, this would be the sweetest thing ever. You got Calipari with that vacant stare that kind of happens when his teams start blowing big leads. They did it a lot last season. I was reminiscing on the Sweet 16 game where they just completely fell apart late. You got Kenny Payne out there sitting like it's weekend at Kenny's. Just looked like he may or may not be alive. I was like, this is going to be sweet. And then for reasons that we'll talk about a little bit later in the show, it just didn't happen. Don't get me wrong. I wasn't like, business as usual. I was down last night. I was pissed off about the way that we played and certainly the way that we started the game and certain things that happened throughout the game. But
outside of the overall team rebounding, I'm not worried about much of anything. Everything's fixable.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those that if things get taken care of and we become the team that I think we all believe we can be, and we roll through the ACC, we finish first or second, we're a top 4 seed in the NCAA tournament, we play deep into March. You look back at that and you're like, yeah, I mean, we lost We lost our first true road game on the road against a good team in a hostile environment. That's by 9 points. That's not a shocking thing. That happens to most good teams in college basketball. We knew we weren't going to go 40-0. I don't think anybody was sitting here thinking that we were going to go undefeated. Losses were going to happen at some point, and this was one on paper that seemed we were a 2-point favorite going into last night. And I think we know that team, they can play. They've got dudes. They got NBA guys on that roster, and Calipari, he has our number a little bit. And maybe it was because the Cal and Kenny Payne element didn't get played up as much as I thought it was going to, that I was more okay with the loss than I thought I was going to be. But we've had really good teams here over the years that have lost this exact same type of game in December, where they've gone on the road, they've played a really good team for the first time. It's been typically we haven't gotten down by 20 points in those types of games, but we've lost. People have freaked out. We've steadied the ship, and then we've been fine long term. And I think that's the most likely scenario of what happens here. Having said that, I do think there are things that need to be addressed. I do think that there are things that need to be talked about. I don't want to use the word exposed, but there were problems that we thought maybe would be an issue with this team that I think reared their heads last night. The first thing is kind of what you talked about. We didn't come out as the hungrier team last night, which I thought was very disappointing because we did the same thing against Cincinnati, and we talked on the show after that game about, hey, it's better to learn that lesson in a win. Early season, a lot of times, is about learning lessons that are going to benefit you once you get to conference play and certainly once you get to March, and it's better to learn those types of lessons in a win. We came out against Cincinnati. They were the aggressor. They acted like that game meant more to them. They punched us in the face. We got down 17-4. Thankfully, we battled back, and when it was
thankfully we had a home crowd there.
I mean, that helped too. I think that definitely played into it. But once we kind of steadied ourselves, we were the better team, and we pulled away, and we won the game by 10 points. You would have thought that would have been the lesson. Like, you're not good enough to go out and just go through the motions early on against anybody and roll to a victory. And last night, it certainly looked a lot like the start of the Cincinnati game. And like, I'm not even talking about the opening segment. I actually kind of thought that, you expect when there's a game with that much emotion, you had the students that were in there like 2 hours before tip-off. They were going crazy. The new football coach was there hyping them up. You kind of think that a storm's going to happen early. And they get ahead 6-0. The place is going nuts. We look a little bit rattled. And to our credit, I thought we handled that pretty well. We got it to 11-8, I think, at the end of the first segment at the under-16 timeout. And I was like, I even texted friends. I was like, all right, weathered the storm. Now we're into the game. Let's go out there and just play, and I think, we'll be the better team. And they kept bringing it, and we kept looking like we were just like, we'll pick it up if we have to, but let's go through the motions a little bit right now. That, to me, was incredibly disappointing. And then as the game went on, even when, we came out with renewed energy in the second half, which is good to see, but it also reinforced just how disappointing the effort level was at the beginning of the game, which is a trend that has to stop now. If we are going to, lessons should have been learned in the Cincinnati game. It has to be learned now. You've got to come out and play like your house is on fire from the opening tip every single time out.
This was the case at this time of year last year.
It was a little bit. And that team, to their credit, I think learned that lesson. They stopped doing that stuff as time went on. I think the hope was with so many mature players on this year's team that wasn't going to be a lesson that needed to be taught, but clearly I think it does at this point. But the two primary issues last night are the same. We are not reinventing the wheel here. They're the same two issues that every single person watching that game last night saw. Rebounding and on-ball defense. And I think rebounding can be fixed to a degree. There were, kind of everything that we said last night couldn't happen is exactly what happened. We talked about the mismatch at the 4 position. We talked about this probably not being a game where Javon Hadley needs to be out there for 20, 25 minutes. We talked about needing Kenai Roots and Kason Pryor to step up and give you big-time minutes. John Calipari saw the same thing that all of us saw when you matched up those two teams. They went right at the 4 spot when they had the ball, and they just stayed off of Javon Hadley when they were playing defense. They were like, all right, if that guy beats us, tip your cap. But we're focusing our attention on stopping the 3 guys. His man was a help
defender.
Brazil was just playing off of him entirely and just there to cut off the drive for Michael, there to help out on the perimeter on Conwell and McNeely. They were just kind of leaving Javon alone and saying,
catch and shoot guy.
Yeah, I mean, and then it doesn't help that Trevin Brazil goes out there and he's shooting the best that he has all season long, knocks down a few early threes. That forces us to adjust. We said we couldn't let that matchup kill us. That matchup killed us. We said we couldn't send them to the free throw line a bunch because they shoot 80% collectively from the free throw line. They shot 35 free throws last night. Outscored us by 13 at the charity stripe. And then the rebounding thing, that was the one edge where on paper, and I know it's still a little bit early to dive too deeply into stats like that. Yeah. Last night was case in point. On paper, we were a much better rebounding team than they were. And last night, they kind of killed us on the boards. 18 offensive rebounds. They beat us in second chance points by 13. They out-rebounded us by 10. Overall, their rebound rate was higher. They were more active on the glass. They exposed the fact that when we go a little bit small, which is our starting lineup, we are very limited if you can bring Sananda Frew out of the paint. Every time there was a video out there today, I wish I could give the person proper credit. It was one of the guys from Field of 68 who went out there and spliced every single time that Frew challenged a shot, so where he wasn't in rebounding position, almost every single time Malik Ewan just stepped in and got that rebound. And that's something that they're going to have to address because Frew, while he's our biggest player, and I guess technically our best rim protector, he's not an elite shot blocker. So when he goes out to challenge a shot, more times than not, that shot is going to find its way to the rim.
Yeah, he's relying on his length to just contest it.
Right. I mean, he's good at altering shots. Like, they missed all the shots that he challenged just about, but we had nobody there to rebound. And you go back and you look at those videos, it's basically Javon Hadley being in position and then Malik Ewan being like, all right, well, I'm 6 inches taller than you. I'm just going to grab this thing and lay it back in. And, like, that's got to be worked on. You've got to figure out what the plan of attack is there.
Do you think I felt like I saw more second half double big minutes than we've seen in any game. I think they tried.
They tried a variety of things. We played some different lineups. I think they wanted to use Woolley even more than they did, but his foul trouble prevented that.
Which a couple of those calls were just.
I mean, like, you know, if once again, I'm not even going to argue that the calls weren't fouls. I am going to argue that they were doing the exact same thing on the other end, and they weren't fouls when they're hand checking Michael 30 feet away from the basket every time he's taking a dribble. That suddenly is okay, but Woolley puts his arm on whoever he's guarding and instant whistle every single time. Like, again, I don't care if it's a loose whistle. I don't care if it's a tight whistle. Be a consistent whistle. That's all I've ever cared. Let the players adjust, and I don't think our guys really knew how to adjust to that last night because they felt like it wasn't equal. And there were a lot of times where it wasn't equal. Not blaming the officials, Roman.
No, I wasn't either.
Not blaming the officials. The bad calls were both ways. However, that's what you have to do. There were bad calls both ways. However, we got screwed by the officials. But I'm not blaming the officials. I'm really not blaming the officials. I think if we got a fair whistle, we don't win the game regardless. We could have helped ourselves a lot more than we did. But the rebounding is a concern. We're, against teams like Arkansas, and granted there aren't that many of those with that type of length and athleticism, we don't really have a counter.
When Frew's off the floor, it's like really bad.
I mean, Ollie, this was another game where he just can't play. And it sucks because he made a couple of nice passes for a couple of easy buckets, and those were good because we weren't exactly scoring at will at that time, but just cannot give you anything on the other end. And, look, we knew this when we took him.
And he's still not giving you enough outside of those passes on the offensive end.
He's not. Missed the 3 last night. They kind of just left him open. He didn't make them pay for it. I mean, we knew Khalifa's limitations when we got him. I think there were some fans out there who were like, he'll be different defensively because he lost that weight. This show, we don't lie to you. We were like, yeah, he's not good defensively. There's nothing we can say about that. This was one of those games. It wasn't a Khalifa game. It wasn't a Hadley game. And unfortunately, the guys that we needed to really step up, I mean, I thought Kaysen did some good things, getting a couple steals and a couple of breakaway buckets. Kanai gave you energy. I think the fans want to see more of him. I'm surprised he only played 9 minutes last night, but he was not giving you much offensively.
I have a reason for that.
Okay.
I think the early Brazil alley-oop in the first half, I think it was honestly Kanai's first segment out.
He didn't rotate down.
He didn't rotate. He's ball watching.
Yeah.
Watching A-Cuff the whole way there.
To be fair, Hadley did it like 3 times after that.
True.
But yeah.
And then on the next play down, I thought it was a great decision. Gets to the basket, has the little half spin turnaround, and then misses it.
Yeah.
It seemed like from that point on they weren't too confident.
Well, he took a fadeaway jumper instead of
That's exactly what I said in the group chat. You make a good move, you gotta go straight up right there.
He faked his man out, and he didn't need to fall away.
Got you in a half step off of you to go straight up. At that point, when you elevate and he's not elevated, you can get that shot over him at his length.
It was like he was thinking, I've worked on this shot a lot in practice. Now I want to show it off.
And it also in this kind of game, maybe it's just nitpicking. After that move, when you go into him, go up to the basket and put the ball in the backboard.
That's what they were doing.
Probably going to get a call there.
That's what they were doing to us.
We didn't do that early on enough, so we didn't get the calls later on.
So the rebounding was bad. And I think a lot of that was matchups. Some of it was just lack of effort, not being a 5-team rebounding, not gang rebounding like we typically do. The thing that concerns me the most about last night, and I do think it's fixable to a degree, our complete inability to stay in front of their guards was really frustrating. I think some of it's effort. I think
Thomas was licking his lips every time he got the ball.
My goodness. I mean, they just, what a John Calipari team's going to do. They would high pick and roll, bring Frew out away from the basket, force him to switch, killed us time after time after time. I mean, we got that lead down to 5, and that arena is dead.
Silent.
They had a lot of big leads blown last year. It kind of became a thing for John Calipari's team. Calipari, like I said, he's got that panicky look on his face like he had at Kentucky sometimes where he's like, what do I do? What do I do? And you're like, oh, man, like we've got them on the ropes here. All we need to do is commit on the defensive end. Now, granted, right after that happens, we got what I think was the worst foul call of the game. They called that foul on Ryan Conwell, where there was zero contact whatsoever. Yeah. I think they blew the whistle before the kid went into his shot.
Ghost foul.
It was terrible, and that gives them 2 points, and then we come down. And on the other, but you put that aside. After we cut that lead down to 5, Arkansas has 12 offensive possessions from that point forward. They score on 10. They get points on 10, either field goals or free throws. You're not going to win when that's the case. Yeah, we were scoring a bunch. We got Michael going to the basket, cooking everybody. We started knocking down some threes. It doesn't matter when you're trading buckets. Like, that team had to realize in that moment, all that energy that we're putting into the offensive end, we've got to dedicate ourselves equally to the defensive end if we want to go on the run that we need to win this game, and that just never happened.
Yeah, that looked like the start of a game there.
It did. I mean, I know that we brought here, I know that there were defensive concerns with Michael when we brought him here, and it was kind of all right, there's a give and a take here. This kid's going to be a top 5 NBA draft pick. He's maybe the best point guard offensively in college basketball, but we got to get a little bit more from him on that end.
Outside of the passing lanes,
he was kind of doing like an OTE game last night where it was like, I'm getting my highlights and I'm just kind of going through the motions defensively. We got to improve a little bit on that end, and I think they tried to hide him a little bit. They brought Woolley in very early. I think their game plan was to use him as kind of a defensive stopper to help the high ball screen and to switch as much as possible. And then that plan got shot to hell when he gets into foul trouble very early on. But they tried. Ryan Conwell was not great defensively last night either, and he's been the best of those 3 guards. You kind of know what you're getting with Isaac McNeely. I was really disappointed in Javon too, just defensively. Just didn't look like he had the same. Like, I know he's undersized in that game, but just ball watching, like you said. He got beat for alley-oops a couple of times. He was in the wrong spot a couple of times. He got beat off the bounce a couple of times. It was just not the team leader, the veteran, I've been here, I've done this before type performance that we needed from him in that moment. And we don't need him to score a bunch of points in a game like that, but we do need him to defend and rebound, and he didn't give us enough on that end. So, I mean, question for you. I think we all agree the defense has to get better if we're going to play as deep into March as this team wants to. Do we think that's possible with this group?
I do. I think
I do too.
I keep telling myself this is the worst version of Case and Pryor we're going to see, right? Granted, I've been saying that for like 3 games now.
Sure.
So I'm kind of ready to stop saying that. He should be getting better. The recovery speed isn't there for someone who takes risks and likes to gamble on defense and tries to see if he can get those fingertips on those passes out on the perimeter. You're the big guy. You're a big guy out there. We need you inside the 3-point line unless you're guarding a shooter.
Yeah, and we saw the pros and the cons of the game. Like, he gets the 2 big steals.
The steal, almost tears his ACL again on the dunk.
He did. And then he gambles like the next possession and gets beat on he gambles, doesn't get it, passes it, gets it right back.
I thought he was going to foul a cuff on
that
too.
I.
Which glad he didn't. But that's kind of the give and take. There was a couple moments out there where we were broken possessions and he's in the Ali Khalifa spot, and he's just I thought he was going to take a crazy shot, and he didn't. But what I'm saying is I think that Kanai should be getting more minutes due to his size. In those kinds of matchups, you just have to outweigh the risk to the reward, I think, when you're looking at what Kanai gives you defensively versus Javon as a defender and rebounder. He's just more versatile in both of those areas, I think, if he's not ball watching. If they're both ball watching, you got to go with Kanai because Javon Hadley's getting rebounds. He'll half effort box out, and the guy gets it right over his head and goes up with it. Now he's on the free throw line. So that stuff has to change, but I think that stuff can be addressed. I think you just fix your rotations up a little bit. You ask for Kaysen and you ask for Kanai to be a little bit more heads up defensively, and it should improve.
It should. I was surprised that Kanai only played 9 minutes last night. I don't want to fall into the trap. I mean, I probably got like 350 tweets about Kanai last night, and I think every year the fan base has a guy where it's like all of our problems would be magically fixed if this guy was playing more. The Fabio Basili of the year. I don't want to fall into the trap of saying if we just played Kanai more, we'd be totally fine because Kanai was not fantastic when he was out there last night.
If we would have played Javon less, and I hate to say that.
I think you're right.
That's the take there.
28 minutes last night for Hadley was surprising, and I think it was probably we needed more of the Cincinnati type minutes where it was 13 for Kanai, 9 for Kaysen, and I think Javon played like 20. We had 9 for Kanai last night, 6 for Kaysen, and Javon played 28. I think that was the wrong disparity. But, who are we to judge? We'll take a break when we come back. A few more thoughts on this game from last night. Keep it locked right here. It's the Mike Rutherford Show on 1450 The Big X.
But if God got us, then gon' be alright.
Not gonna like it at all. We are gonna be alright. 3 o'clock hour here, the Mike Rutherford Show, 1450 96.1 Big X Sports Radio. Brought to you by our friends at United Mechanical and Nexus Plus, Louisville's newest construction management company. We continue to react to Louisville's 89-80 loss at Arkansas last night. We've talked about the issues defensively. We talked about the issues when it comes to. By the way, what was your? I think we all had a moment last night where we lost it a little bit. Like it's like an outburst. Was there a moment for you last night when your anger hit a peak?
The Frew dunk attempt from 10 feet away from the basket, which I was like,
got fouled, by the way.
And that's where I was like, in my head, I'm like, why are you trying to dunk that?
I had the same.
He got fouled. Look at his left hand. He got an elbow to the gut.
Here's the thing: if he doesn't get fouled, he's not making it to the rim either. like that was one of those where it was like, all right, Sananda, let's know who we are a little bit here. Maybe we go up with 2 hands on that, or maybe we don't jump from the free throw line.
Euro step there.
Give a Euro step. Draw the contact. Go into the body. Make the layup. Loved the aggression. But, yeah, that was a bad moment. I had 2 last night. And one was I think we got it down to 5 or 7 during, the first big comeback. And Javon tried to go 1-on-3 in the fast break and short-armed.
Up and under over the basket.
Yeah, and I almost lost my mind.
Great pass.
Yeah, I was like, we don't have. I was like, just because we made the great pass doesn't mean we have to go 1-on-3 here. And then when we got it down to, I think we were down 7 late. It was either 7 or 8. And Michael, despite being the catalyst offensively to getting us back, he did that baseline drive and then jumped up with nowhere to go and threw it out.
Away.
Pass got picked off. That was when I was like, I've been holding it in the entire half, and I threw out a big GD at that point. Mary
Jasper Johnson there.
Yeah, it was. Which halftime, I went upstairs. Mary was getting the kids down to sleep. I said goodnight to them. Changed sweatshirts. And I watched the entire second half on mute because I couldn't handle Jimmy Dykes anymore, and I just needed to collect my thoughts. And it was one of those where I was like,
barking was a bit much.
God, too much. And I was like, maybe if I am not fully engrossed in the game here, maybe if I act like I'm just casually watching, they'll make a comeback, and it started to happen, so I just left the volume off. And I kind of just stayed quiet the entire second half. And then those 2 plays was too much for me to handle. Too much for me to. And when Woolley hit the 3 was my biggest celebratory outburst where he, a little bit of come on, all right, we got this thing here.
Only one I felt like was going in too.
Oh, I thought I knew he had it. It was weird because he hasn't shot the 3 great so far this season, and I think that was the only one he took last night. I can't remember. Maybe he took another one.
He had the first one that he missed early.
Okay, but I knew that one was going in. We had all the momentum at that point. A couple things to follow up on the first segment discussion. The defense certainly left a lot to be desired. There were, it was one of those nights though where even when they were taking the shots that we wanted them to take, they were going in. You live with Trevin Brazil taking open 3-pointers or semi-contested 3-pointers.
Off-balance, mid-range jumpers.
Some of the shots too when we were making our run and getting back in the game. It's like Billy Richmond driving to the basket and banking in a one-handed. I was like, what is that? Or a couple of the shots that
the Ewan floater off the backboard.
The Ewan floater off the backboard was the big
one. That one was like, God.
I was like, you live with that.
You play games like those, that's like that guy in pickup who hadn't had a bucket all game.
Yeah.
He just throws it up there.
Malik Thomas took a crazy turnaround 18-footer that he splashed at the end of a shot clock, and you're like, all right, what are you going to do about that? But the uncontested layups at the basket and the easy putbacks off of missed shots at the basket, those are the ones where you're like, you can't gift a team like that 16 to 20 points and expect to win on their home floor on a night where you're shooting 8 of 37 from 3. And I feel like this needs to be talked about too. We said on this show I predicted it when Pat Kelsey got hired. I was like, this offensive philosophy, it's going to put us in a position to upset a lot of really good teams. It's going to be fun as hell to watch. We're going to score a ridiculous amount of points. There are going to be games where we shoot terribly from 3. And every single time we lose a game like that, people are going to say, well, you can't play this way. You can't win. This is part of the deal. There are going to be games against quality opponents where we go 8 of 37 from 3. And, yeah, those games become incredibly difficult to win at that point. It's part of the deal. Now, having said that, I think that we took some bad shots. Michael was 2 of 13 from 3. Ryan Conwell was 3 of 12 from 3. Michael, the thing that has to, and maybe this was a lesson learned last night for both Brown and the staff, it needs to start with him getting to the basket.
Yes.
Like, that should be focal point A for him. That's where he's the best. And I'm not even saying he's a bad shooter. He's not. When he's open, when he's in rhythm,
very good shooter.
He's a very good shooter. When he's going off the bounce and taking fadeaway 25-footers with a hand in his face, he's like a 15% three-point shooter. That is what has to stop. And he falls in love with it, too, when other things are working. And I know that we're in an offense where you have the freedom to do that. You still got to pick your poison. And I think the fatal flaw last night was, I couldn't tell you whose fault it was, either him or the staff not realizing that the best way to jumpstart that offense was to get him going to the basket, because they had nobody who could keep Michael Brown Jr. in front of them.
Best player on the floor. Fastest quick step, first step on the floor.
He could get wherever he wanted to on the floor, whenever he wanted to on the floor. And instead of allowing him to do that and open things for both himself and his teammates, we kept bringing ball screens and bringing an extra defender up there, and we kept passing it around the perimeter, and we kept having these, Conwell taking a contested 23-footer and McNeely taking a contested 23-footer and Michael settling for outside shots. And
it should have been a game where Michael had 26 points and 15 of them at the free throw line.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, he did it once early on where he got right to the basket and missed a semi-contested floater at the rim that went in and out. And I was like, don't let that deter you. That's the game here. Like, they can't keep you out of that lane. It doesn't mean you have to go and try to finish at the rim every single time, but you get all of a sudden trail defenders out of position. You get people over-helping. You get potentially their bigs into foul trouble. Keep driving the basketball. And we did it with great success in the second half and simply refused to do it in the first half. And I don't understand that. Last year, early on, remember we had that big discussion about Chucky Hepburn was playing in a different role, and he needed to be more of a Peyton Siva probing type point guard, where he didn't just pick up his dribble. Chucky early on last year, at about this point in the season, he would make a move to the basket, and the second he got cut off, he would just stop and pick up his dribble and then kick it out to somebody, and then they would just reset the offense, and we would end up taking a challenge shot at the end of a shot clock. And the offense improved dramatically when Chucky realized, all right, just because I get cut off doesn't mean I need to pick up the dribble and reset the offense. I'm going to dribble back a little bit. I'm going to see where this guy goes. I'm going to fake like I'm dribbling back and then get back to the basket and find somebody open. We need to learn a similar lesson after last night's game, which is Michael is at his best and this offense is at his best when he is tilting the floor and getting downhill.
Yes.
That needs to be a thing from this point forward, right?
100%. When he does that, the defense shifts. Everything shifts in the favor of wherever the ball's going. And it makes everything easier for everybody else. Now, Ryan Conwell can get downhill. Now you're opening up little pockets for dump-offs to Sonny Frew or whoever you have down low. Now the ball can actually be swinged from in and out and getting the defense to shift. So not to mention that more times than not, that's going to be the case where the opponent does not have someone who can stay in front of him. They don't have someone quick enough, and they don't have the ability to stop him from getting to the rim. His offhand finishing ability is unreal, Mike. He can go left or go right to the same degree. And when you have a player like that who loses nothing when the ball's in his left hand on the left side and he has to go left foot, right foot, and finish where the ball doesn't even get to touch his right hand and you don't lose anything, you need to be pounding that ability.
Yes.
It's like trying to run the ball, trying to throw the ball with Miller Moss, and you got Isaac Brown back there.
It doesn't mean that we have to take 15 three-pointers a game. It just means that that's the best way to get the other team's defense off kilter. It's you all of a sudden, if you get Michael Brown blowing by the guard at the point of attack, it forces all four players on the other side to react in a way that gives us the advantage. Michael's got the advantage going to the basket. Isaac
ambidextrous nearly in his passing ability.
I mean, let's talk about the dunk. We got to talk about the dunk, right?
Dunk of the year almost. If we closer into
Mike,
the deficit wasn't that bad. It definitely dunk of the year.
That was the one thing that sucked about it, is that when it started going viral, you saw that 41-24 score at the bottom. I was like, can we just crop that out there? Because that is about as good a dunk as I've seen from a Louisville player in a long, long time.
Definitely a Louisville guard.
I mean, just he's driving he's driving through the lane. He rises, and you're like, oh, what's he gonna do? Left hand cram on Trevin Brazil, who then gets hurt.
Made him roll his ankle.
I mean, that was out. And I hated listening to Jimmy Dykes last night, but he was right where he was
a great 3-point shooter.
Which awesome. I mean, come on, man. But he was right when he said, he's not having a great shooting night. All these NBA scouts that are at the game, though, that's all they needed to see right there.
He's right.
Like that's when you've got the ability to do that. All the other stuff can be fixed, because that's not a teachable thing. That was an outrageous dunk last night, and that's what he's capable of doing. If you can do it against Arkansas, you can do it on pretty much every other team left on your schedule. Get him going to the basket and adjust your offense accordingly. It'll allow more space for Ryan Conwell, who got crowded last night. They did a really smart thing last night as well, which I think a lot of teams try to do against us, but maybe don't dedicate themselves as much as Arkansas did. They forced someone besides Michael to initiate the offense. And I think that, we kind of have had the modern mentality, like Arkansas does, of, well, we've got multiple guards that can initiate the offense. Conwell can play the point when he needs to. It's different when Ryan Conwell is starting the offense as opposed to when Michael is. Like, Ryan's a great college player. He does not have the first step that Brown does.
The same burst.
He doesn't have the same ability to kill you once he gains that advantage. And
he has the savviness, he has the craftiness, he has the ability to change speeds because he's been doing it longer and been going up against guys bigger than him for longer.
But he's like a lot of guys on this team, where when you're facing the level of athlete that Arkansas has, it limits his effectiveness a little bit. He's not a bad athlete, but he's not an elite athlete. Michael is. This was a game where you had to ride him offensively to victory, and they did that in the second half. They didn't do it in the first half. And I think you look at Conwell's shooting numbers. He was trying to play the Brown role and was not able to do it effectively. He was taking worse shots than he typically does. He also was missing some shots that he typically makes. Had 5 turnovers too. We just did a bunch of stuff that was, I don't even think you could attribute it to the atmosphere. Like the Javon throwing the inbounds pass into nobody. When have we done that in 2 years? What was that? The play where Woolley was, we pressed
Kobe
the
not
issue.
looking at the ball.
Kobe just wasn't looking for the ball. When has that ever happened?
Is that on Kobe at all?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, they're terrible decision there from Woolley, and I'm like, well, yeah, kind of, but
that's one of those where you don't listen to the announcers. How many times have you seen us throw that pass over the last 2 years? We do it all the time.
We're doing it all season.
Kobe's
been making that pass, so the fact that you're not looking at the ball there,
it
surprised me a bit.
And Kobe's played for Pat Kelsey for a number of he knows that pass could be coming at any time, and he kind of looked at Woolley like, what the hell was that? I'm like, dude, yeah, maybe not the right time to throw that pass, or not the guy to be throwing it to, because Kobe's not
going to just catch it and shoot or go dunk on the baseline.
That's not exactly his game. You've still got to be aware of where the ball is at all times when you're playing in this system. Just little stuff like that we've never done reared its head last night. What do you think about, I kind of thought that Pat would take the classic early December loss mentality of, yeah, disappointed, but it's a long season. We've got things to work on. What'd you think of him coming out and saying this was unacceptable? I mean, just point blank, he was like, unacceptable. We got a lot to fix.
I like it.
I kind of do too.
I like it. I think that when you just look at how things unfolded, the fact that a couple of guys weren't being as aggressive as we've seen them be, a couple of guys not being in tune in the moment, a step ahead like we've seen them be, you feel like you could have won that game as a coach. Now, I haven't seen any of this, and maybe it's just me in the moment being mad that things aren't changing in our favor enough, with fan bias. I think he's weird with his rotations. I think they come at weird times. I think he brings certain players out a little bit too early. I know it's kind of been a thing. We want to keep guys fresh. We want to do what we want to do. But at the same time, when you've already kind of gotten out of that, we're going to go quick substitutions. You need to give some of these guys a little bit more run. Let them actually fill out their matchup a couple more possessions than they've gotten the chance to. That's just one thing I thought. I'm not complaining about Pat Kelsey. He can only do so much when you're getting out rebounded on the offensive glass like that.
Let's just say, I think we all have the same, but he needed to have a longer leash with Kenai last night and less of a long leash with Javon, right?
I think that if you're let Kobe go foul out. He's your best defender. Or not Kobe, I'm sorry. Let Woolley go foul out.
Well, he almost did. They played him out there with 4 at the end of the game.
I think with what you saw from McNeely out there and how McNeely's not getting the open looks, granted, I liked the bucket. I liked him going to – he took Pringle to the basket.
Yeah.
He kind of knew Frew was there to seal. I guess they're on the same page about that seal. It surprised me, but that moment also was like, you could kind of tell McNeely shifted to old Virginia McNeely for just that possession where nobody wants the ball, nobody knows what to do. I don't really want to take this player who can clearly guard me to the basket, but I have to.
Here we go.
Here we go. Thought that was kind of funny, but I mean, let Adrian Woolley foul out. If you know this is a game where he's the better defender, he's going to be there's more of an opportunity for something to be created with him putting the ball on the floor than Isaac McNeely, and you're going to get the better defensive upside. Leash should have been longer even through the foul trouble, in my opinion, as a guy who doesn't play as many minutes anyway. That's kind of just where I'm at with that. But I like that intensity. I liked him thinking that there was enough wrong for his team to go out there and have won that game. So, go hone in on that. Go take the film and run with that. But at the same time, Pat, it was 7-0.
Yeah.
They needed to get smacked in the face. I just wish that they would have responded a little bit better to that.
What did you think of? Did you catch the moment where he pulled Isaac McNeely and was yelling at him about McNeely had just gotten beat for back-to-back rebounds, and he was like, "Are you gonna bleeping fight?" I don't think he cussed, but he's like, "You gotta fight, man. You gotta." And I was like, "Oh God, Kenny Payne's in the building, and we got a Louisville coach who's telling our guys we need to fight more." I'm like, "What has happened to this?" I don't know how you.
I felt the same way about Javon.
Yeah,
you're watching the ball go over your head, man.
It was not a performance that it was all reminiscent of what we saw from him for the last season, and I think to this point this year either. I was very surprised at, like we said, we didn't think it was a game for him. I still thought he would compete more than he did in that game last night, and hopefully this will be a wake up call for him to kind of you don't just get to go through the motions because you're a 6-year captain and a vocal leader, and you've been through the rigors. If you want it this year, you got to go out there and earn it at this point. If you want to finish on the highest of possible notes, we need you giving us more than that this season.
Also, I feel like we've come with a lot of negatives. The fact that they did adjust, though, was a positive for me. The fact that they were able to, in a hostile crowd, and you've been in a deficit the entire game, to cut it to there, to start making good decisions, I almost said it there. To battle a little bit harder there on the defensive end.
Dig in. I think you expect it with this team, though. Even when we got down by 20, I'm not sitting here saying that
we're going to lose by 20.
Right. I didn't think we were going to get blown out. I certainly didn't think that we were going to win. But I was like, they'll make a run.
We'll simply too good for that.
We'll get it to single digits at some point. We'll start making some crazy shots. They'll start missing some of these shots. I like being able to have that mentality as opposed to, when Chris Mack was here, I don't think he was the worst coach in the world or anything, but his style, if we got down by 15, 16 points,
there wasn't anything he could say or do to get those guys to play any different.
You knew it was blowout city. Maybe we were going to go bucket for bucket for a while, but we were going to lose by double figures.
The issue with Mack is that up 20, I wasn't that confident either.
That too. Well, and that's kind of a thing with us with this play style. We had the 20-point lead against UK. That got cut down to 4 at one point. But better. That's a better issue to have than the one being down by 20.
That's true.
I think you and I. So we're almost an hour into the show now, and we haven't mentioned one time the John Calipari element of this whole deal, which I found myself not being as taken by that last night as I thought I was going to be.
Because he's kind of started out coaching us early on there.
Yeah, it just, I didn't even take this as a Cal owns Louisville type night. I know a lot of other people did. It was just it was like we said last week or when the schedule came out. Someone asked the question about which one of these non-con teams do you think is the worst matchup, and I said Arkansas. It's a bad matchup for us. Playing there at home, I think is tough. The style is they take away a lot of the things that we want to do really well. And I think that there are things that we want to do defensively that they pose a lot of problems for. So it wasn't even like a Calipari owns Louisville. There's this mental block. Like, we have nobody associated with the program right now, besides Peyton, I guess, who was ever around when Cal was killing us at Kentucky. That to me, it didn't really come into my mind. I mean, there were times where they showed him, and I was like, God, I want to punch his face. But I wasn't like, oh, Cal owns us again. It was just like they outplayed us on this specific night. And Cal did get asked about the Louisville. I was a little worried he was going to like send Kenny Payne out there for the press conference or take some shots. And he got asked about Louisville, and he downplayed it and said, I've got no problems with Louisville. I was a big Denny Crum fan. I visited him during the last week of his life. Now, he couldn't help himself. Did you hear the quote?
No.
So he starts talking about, he's like, yeah, he's like, I've got no problem with Louisville. I'm fine with Louisville. Yeah, we did play them a lot at another place. And then you could tell he just couldn't let it go. He was like, beat them more than we got beat them a couple times in the NCAA tournament. I'm like, you don't need to say that, Cal. You don't need to say that if you're trying to be, kind here. But he was basically like, Kels has them rolling right now. I've got no issue with that. They're real good now. Didn't bring up the Kenny Payne thing. Didn't bring up the history with Rick Pitino. I didn't bring up Pitino at all, which I think is kind of notable. Did bring up Denny Crum and Pat Kelsey, but just glossed right over the Rick Pitino era.
Make sure to do that.
Yeah, but I wasn't as taken by the us versus Coach Cal thing as I thought maybe I was going to be during the game. And it wasn't one of my primary takeaways. I think it was just kind of, I'm more worried about us, and I'm more worried about the things that teams like Arkansas can present as matchup issues. But I just, the Cal thing didn't come into my mind as much. I think you're kind of the same way.
Not
maybe?
really. I couldn't even really care much about it. I'm over here like, why are you guys not battling for rebounds?
Same. That's where my mind was. Kendrick Perkins, by the way, tweeted out. Did you see his tweet?
I don't listen to him anymore. I want to mute him from anything I can possibly see.
But he just tweeted out the Darius Acuff stat line. Said, let me know when y'all want to have a conversation on who's the best freshman point guard in college. Top 5 pick. See y'all on draft night. I mean, he's good.
Field of 68's mock draft.
Yeah, they got Michael at 3.
But they got Boozer below a mint.
So that's kind of becoming a thing.
It's not going to be a thing.
Here's the thing. I'm not trying to be a hot take guy. I totally agree with it. Like he is. He doesn't finish over length.
Boozer goes top 3.
I don't think so. If he does, I think it'll be a mistake. He is a great college player. He can't. He's like 6'9" with short arms. Against teams with length, he has struggled to finish at the rim. I'm just saying. Maybe I'm completely wrong.
I don't think you're wrong. No, he has. I think that with all the tools he has, I still think he goes pretty high.
Oh, I mean, I think he goes really high. I don't know if he's going to go top. I don't think he's going to go top 3 anymore.
I think he goes 3.
Maybe he does. Maybe they find that they're like, oh, he can be like a better shooting Draymond, or I don't know. But he's just with as much talent as there is in this class. I feel like there are other guys that project to do more. I mean, what do I know? I fall in love with college guys who don't translate well to the NBA all the time, but it just seems like he's not crazy athletic. He's a bruiser. He's a bruiser with a great skill set. I don't know if that makes you a star at the next level, but I could definitely be wrong. By the way, the ACC did lose the ACC SEC Challenge. I kind of feel like it's our fault, Roman.
A little bit.
We were the only team that was favored last night. We said we need 2 wins to get the tie. Although that would, the SEC would have kept the Challenge Cup or whatever anyway, but it still would have been a tie. And we got the game that we both pinpointed, the Virginia-Texas game. Virginia blasted Texas, beat them by 20. And Boston College actually took LSU to overtime. Vandy destroyed SMU. Clemson made it interesting against Bama, which props to them. They battled back from a big early deficit. Mississippi State killed Georgia Tech on their home floor. Georgia Tech sucks. And NC State had nothing for Auburn, which maybe we overreacted a little bit to the Will Wade hiring. They haven't really beaten anybody. They haven't done anything against good teams. So the SEC ends up winning 9-7. If we had won our game, we walk away with an 8-8 tie. Still, all things considered, not a terrible showing for the ACC. Certainly better than their 2-14 performance last season. We've done well for ourselves as a conference in the non-con.
Better than last year.
Now, I know we only have a couple minutes here. We got to talk about something with Louisville's non-conference schedule right now. So we talked about we're not ducking smoke. We're playing all these great teams. The non-con schedule's
not looking all that great.
No,
now.
I mean we got Kentucky not looking great right now. They got a big one against They got a big one against Gonzaga tomorrow. Cincinnati has looked bad since they played us. Arkansas had already lost 2 games before last night. Indiana goes on the road again and loses against Minnesota. Maybe a little bit of a fraud watch there. Memphis is 3-4. Tennessee just gets beat by Syracuse.
We're going to need to handle business in the ACC again.
I mean, that's the thing. Baylor they've got 1 loss, but they haven't beaten anybody. They play Memphis on Saturday. Not only are we going to have to handle business in the ACC, these 3 games coming up are kind of more important than we thought they were for different reasons now. All of a sudden, they go from great opportunities to bolster your resume to we kind of can't afford to lose more than 1 more of these if we want to be where we want to be going into the Selection Sunday process.
We'll beat Tennessee.
That's the one that I don't know about. I feel good about Saturday. We'll talk more about it tomorrow. I feel good about Memphis. At Tennessee, they're kind of a caged animal too. But we'll talk more about it as we get there. Let's take a break. When we come back, your thoughts on the Game Day Men's Health text line, 502-414-1450. You take it away after the break here on 1450 and 96.1 The Big X. It's hour number 2 here, the Mike Rutherford Show. Presented by United Mechanical and Nexus Plus, 1450 96.1 Big X Sports Radio. Reminder, United Mechanical, they are your trusted partners for commercial and industrial HVAC, electrical plumbing, and refrigeration services. Give United Mechanical a call at 502-339-1133. You can also visit them online at UnitedMechanicalInc.com. Just saw this from John Rothstein that I guess got news that broke at the beginning of the show. There is a new early season college basketball tournament coming in November of 2026. The Royal Palm Invitational will be played in Dubai with multiple power conference teams expected to be involved. Gross. No.
Oil money.
No. Not playing in it, not acknowledging it. Thankfully, we're headed to Las Vegas for the next 4 years for the much more clean money Players Era Festival, which is also ruining the sport just to a much lesser degree.
It's only a matter of time, right? Before it comes out that this was tree planting money.
Well, I'm sure, of course it is. Like the levels of evil here, I guess, but don't love that. I mean, I already didn't like the Players Era Festival. We talked about on the show. There was an element of soullessness watching those games for sure, but you also understand we're part of the problem here. We're going to play in this thing for the next 4 years, and I don't fault anybody at U of L for doing this. They're giving 7 figures away to every team playing it with the potential to make even more if you win one of the top 4 spots in the tournament. Raising funds is the name of the game right now. Like, I want to see Louisville go out there and win another national title in the relatively near future, and I'm all for them doing whatever they got to do to, as long as it's within the rules, to make that happen. And playing in one of these early season tournaments that's going to give you 7 figures, it's much more, it's very clearly the right thing to do if you're trying to build a program that's capable of cutting down the nets and winning a national title. You need money to get players. Why spend money to play in Maui when you can get money to play in Las Vegas? 502-414-14, but Dubai's, that's a bridge too far. That's where I draw the line. Cannot make that happen. 502-414-1450 is the Game Day Men's Health text line. We're going to throw things to you here right after we remind you that Game Day Men's Health is redefining men's wellness with no shortcuts, just results. Testosterone, peptides, weight loss, sexual performance therapy, and more. Visit GameDayMen'sHealth.com to figure out how they are defining this new era of men's health. We have so many texts. I'd forgotten what post-basketball loss shows are like. We could have spent the entire show just reading texts, not even responding to them, just reading texts. Romanator is first in today. What a nightmare. That was a bad matchup for us when so many thought it was a good one. Not us. What does Isaac McNeely do exactly if you're not scheming up plays for him to get open? Our interior paint presence would allow Roman with one ACL to get in there and score and rebound. The front court and defense were a worry before the season and going to possibly cost us a deep run in March. Absolutely pathetic. I think it's a little bit too harsh.
I don't know if it's going to cost us yet. We have a lot of time.
What do you make of Sananda Frou after last night?
I love Sananda Frou.
I still think he's fine.
Should have played every minute in that game last night.
The lack of depth at that position. Here's what I think winds up happening. Remember towards the end of last season, whenever James Scott needed a break, we were like, all right, we're playing Noah at the 5. We're playing Kadir at the 5. We're playing whoever we can at the 5. I think we start giving Kaysen minutes at the 5 because Ollie is very clearly a situational asset. He's never going to help you significantly on the glass or defensively against a team with a pulse, which is all we play from this point forward. So, like, Sananda can't play 35 minutes a game yet, but we kind of need him to, I think, against the best teams on our schedule. I
love the finishing. The dunk was great.
Yeah. He's not tremendous on the glass.
He had 2 putbacks, actually, I think, maybe.
He did. He had one on the missed 3.
Was Devon's missed the sunny putback on that ugly floater?
He had 2. Yeah, I think that was one, and then he had the dunk off the 3. I think it was a Conwell or Michael, where it, like, bounced straight up, and he was there to dunk it back in. Pretty straightforward, but nice to have him there.
The Woolley pass down low, I mean, that's going the other way if that's James Scott.
Yeah.
Underneath the basket, the bounce pass that he was able to corral and go up with.
And I think that's the exciting thing about Sananda is he's getting better. We're seeing every now and then, there's still times where it's like, ooh, like he hadn't really figured out that part of the American game. But there are certainly things that a month ago he wasn't doing that now he's figured out
or wasn't sure about.
Yeah, I think he's playing better basketball. I think he's good. He helps us out down low, but he's just kind of all on his own. I mean, it was him and a 6'5" power forward last night trying to deal with, front line that at one point in time was going 6'10", 6'10", 6'10". That's a tough ask for anybody. And like we said, every time he went out to challenge a shot, he had 2 blocks in the game. But every time he didn't get a block, they had a big dude right there to corral the rebound and put it back in for an easy bucket. We've got to figure out what our plan of attack is there, because you can't have it be every time he alters a shot well enough for the shot to miss, but it still gets to the rim. It's an automatic 2 points for the other team. We've got to figure out a way to combat that.
I don't want to see Javon at the 4 anymore. I mean,
I still think there are matchups.
Maybe extreme.
He can play in certain games. Like he can play
Clemson games like that.
Obviously. I think he can play on Saturday in the Indiana game. I think that's a game where he can play. This was very clearly on paper a matchup where he was, like him at the 4 was going to put us in a very disadvantageous position. But you don't want him at the 4 at all moving forward.
Not really. I think it limits what he can be offensively. I think it's asking too much of him with most of the teams we have going forward defensively. You're right, Indiana, it's not going to be – they're going to have, 2 wing players under 6'8" out there trying to make things happen on the perimeter. That's a Javon Hadley game where he can switch and he's comfortable guarding the types of guys he's seeing. Having to switch and guard multiple different types of big, athletic, near front court-esque players, like he can't guard a Brazil.
No.
He really can't. And he's not quick enough to stay in front of a Thomas type of a guy out there. So when they're running like the screen, they're putting him in the screen situation. He's having to switch onto super fast guards. I want him at the 3. I want him guarding 3s.
I don't want to play like amateur psychiatrist here, but do you think there's a part of Pat Kelsey that is just like, well, I mean,
I want 3 shooters on the floor?
No, not even that, but like Javon's got to play because he's the only returning starter from last year. He's the clear-cut team captain. He's stuck with us. Like he's the heartbeat of this team. We've got to have him out there playing. Like I feel bad not playing him 25, 30 minutes against the best teams on our schedule. I feel like there's almost an element of that, even though he doesn't really fit with a lot of, because we've got to have Michael and 2 shooters out there.
That's, I think, definitely what's happening a little bit. But my issue with that, Mike, is the fact that you brought him back because you knew he was he'll do whatever you want for you kind of a guy.
The consummate teammate.
He'll play 30 minutes, guard the best player. He'll play 19 minutes and take no shots. He'll do whatever you ask of him. I think that you can't just, we got to have our vet out there. We got to have our starter who knows where he's supposed to be screening it all. If he's not getting rebounds and he's not becoming a threat to score, they call that, I'm not going to go there, but he's just, that it's not enough productivity at his position in those kinds of games.
Or got to call him a jag?
I was going to say
another guy.
Liability.
Oh, okay. That's kind of, maybe harsher. I don't know. Actually, I don't know which one's worse.
He wasn't a liability offensively at all last night, but he's just.
But he wasn't just another guy out there. You know?
Yeah. You didn't. Oh, Javon's got it. What's he about to do with it? It's, Javon's got it. He's not doing anything. Let's get it back to a guard. In a game like that where you're in the 4 spot at that position, a couple of moments last night, Kanai would have got it. He would have put more pressure on the rim, I felt like. And it's just, we're going to need to see it shift, in my opinion, if we want to be able to be that aggressive team that has size to compete with those other long teams.
It does seem like this is a situation where if we're thinking in the biggest of pictures, if we want to get where we want to go, I'm thinking about a team like Florida that has the best front court in college basketball. I get that that's an extreme example, but if you're going to win like an Elite 8 game, if you're going to win a Final Four game, if we're thinking in those types of terms, you're going to play teams that have front courts that present the exact same issues that Arkansas did last night. And if you're Pat Kelsey, by the time you get to that point, are you willing to say, like, we love Javon, he got us here, I can't play him 30 minutes in this game. We've got to go with Kanai or Kaysen if he's back and giving us those types of minutes, or some combination of those two guys, because we can't afford to have a front court that's Sananda and then 4 guys that are 6'5" or shorter.
And here's the only reason why I say that. I'm going to say no for now. Or I'll say yes. Can't be playing that kind of 30 minutes. We got to have that iteration of Kanai and Kaysen, because the one thing I felt like we were lacking last night, I'm not necessarily saying that Arkansas had this and we didn't. It looked like they were at any given moment ready to have this. We didn't have that player that's going to be that extra factor in chippiness and come down
totally
and
agree.
Be that mean aggressor. I'm going to be the aggressor when we have the ball. I'm going to be that aggressor in loose balls. Kanai wants to be that. Kaysen Pryor, if he starts feeling comfortable in a game, he can't prevent himself from being that.
We need to get Kaysen's mentality in the body with somebody that right now has fully functioning legs.
Exactly. If Javon Hadley was, okay, look, they don't need me to be the shooter. You don't need me to be this third scoring option even like he was last year. In the minutes that Rain isn't on the floor getting good looks, Javon was our third option last year. We're not even asking that of him. He needs to go out there and be the, I don't even know what you call it other than like the Dylan Brooks. You're going out there, you're maybe touching the borderline with your elbow on the rebounds. You're going out there and you're trying to get in the other team's head. I get that. I don't want to say like going out there and being a dirty player by any means.
We need the guy that's who, if you give me a little nudge, like I don't care if I'm getting called for the foul, I'm pushing back.
Exactly. I'm willing to get teed up if I have to. If you guys are thinking this is going to get a chippy game, I'm going to show you chippy.
Yeah.
Kaysen's that. Kanai has kind of bought into that this season when he's had enough tick out there.
He's trying.
Javon,
we need more of that from him.
If you're going to be playing that many minutes at that role that you are, you have to buy into that aspect of it as well. And he hasn't done that much. He does once things get chippy. Like he's quick to defend his teammates, but he's not out there trying to be that aggressor in the loose balls and in those moments. And if he's not going to be that as someone who's also not going to be much of a scoring threat and is kind of a mismatch on the defensive end at his position that he's getting asked to play, you got to be that aggressor.
I do think it's important to remember that even though we're talking about a lot of guys that have played a lot of college basketball, this is still, we're at game 8 with this specific team. And it took a while last year for a lot of guys to settle into their roles. Terrence Edwards was still kind of trying to figure out, like, what do I do here? When Kaysen got hurt, I think it took a while for Javon to understand, we need you to be more than just another guy. Like, we need you to be our third scoring threat, basically. With Rain, I think it took a while for him to settle into his role. While we have a lot of guys that have played a lot of college basketball, we don't have guys that have played a lot of college basketball with this specific group. And I think it's going to take some time.
Guys who have played in top 25 matchups all that much.
Very fair point. But I think with Isaac McNeely, he goes from being the I've got to do everything on offense guy for Virginia the last 2 years to now being like probably the third scoring option on this year's team. I think he's figuring out how to let the game come to him a little bit. Javon,
going from third to fourth option, sometimes fifth option,
maybe fourth. I think he is going to be asked to play a different role on this team. Santa Fru's adjusting to the American game. It was always going to be a work in progress, and we're not unique in that respect. Most teams in college basketball are dealing with this exact same thing. But I'm just
we have intricate. The fact that we don't have roles really on the offensive end makes it an intricate offense.
Yeah, I think that we always, every single season, every diehard college basketball fan base does this, where you kind of forget how different things are in December as opposed to late February.
Yeah, I've done that a little bit.
Yeah, we all do. We look back at, the talking points that we had this time last year sounded ridiculous.
Are we going to be good or not?
Yeah, Terrence Edwards, I'm not sure he's cut out for the ACC. If you went back and listened to, when it's early March and we're getting ready for the tournament, if you went back and listened to one of our shows from mid-December, you would have been like, well, all of that stuff got fit. Like that wasn't an issue. That wasn't an issue. What the hell are you even talking about? And I think the hope has to be that the same thing happens with this year's group, where Michael does understand what a great shot is as opposed to a bad shot. Michael does start relying more on getting downhill and getting to the basket and finishing at the rim and creating for his teammates, and does commit himself a little bit more to the defensive end. And we get Conwell and McNeely fully understanding their roles, and Javon the same thing, and Fru keeps getting better, and Adrian Woolley develops on both ends of the floor, and all that stuff. It's still very early. We're barely more than a month into the season now, so a lot of this stuff that we're talking about, I do think we trust the coaching staff and these players to get it figured out.
Long reply to the first text.
I know, yeah. We're going to get to 5 texts today. By the way, quick, also going to hurt us here is this breaking news. Kentucky now is expected to hire ex-LSU offensive coordinator Joe Sloan to be its new offensive coordinator. Every LSU fan in the mentions is just saying, like, ha, 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 God bless Kentucky fans. Hope you like screen passes and no run game. Get ready for Kentucky to throw 8 screen passes in a row. I'm so sorry, Kentucky fans. Have fun. LMFAO. I mean, just every every LSU fan is
they
saying
didn't trust
this.
that quarterback. That's the reason they were doing that so much.
I thought Justin Burke was going to be the offensive coordinator. I thought that was the big thing that came out. I guess he's going to coach the quarterbacks, maybe. I don't know. But I thought when the news broke that he was being hired, I thought they were saying OC. I guess it was just to be named later staff position. But there you go. By the way, I caught all the Will Stein quotes from yesterday and the quotes. I guess he was on KSR this morning and some other radio shows.
Lions fan John was like saying it was crazy.
I mean, it was. There's a lot of chest thumping for a guy that's never been a head coach before. A lot of like, who wouldn't want to play quarterback for me? Who wouldn't want to come coach with me? Like, everybody wants to come coach with Will Stein. Like, a lot of that stuff. And I'm like, do they? Like, you've never been a head coach before. He also, I'm going to go ahead and make a prediction on December 4th here. He ain't bringing Cutter Boley back. Every time they ask him about it, he will not, you know, if he wanted Cutter Boley to be his quarterback, the response would be like, you know, he's priority one. I think
we love Cutter.
Yeah, I think with me, we're going to unlock his game and take him to another level. It's a lot of dancing around every time he gets asked about Cutter Boley, which says to me, I think there's a kid at Oregon that he's coached the last 2 years who's been their backup, who was a former top 15 recruit, something like that. I think he's going to bring.
Oh, yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, he'll bring that kid or somebody else with him. Will took this job, I think, with the mindset of I know who my quarterback is going to be next year, and I don't think that quarterback is Cutter Boley. First big mistake. That's strike one with me, Coach Stein.
Where does Cutter end up?
Murray State.
I was going to say, he's not. The SEC team's going to come.
I don't think he's coming here. I mean, I think probably you go to a group of 5 or something like that. How quickly we've changed from he is single-handedly.
It's going to be like Miami.
He's putting the program on his back.
Cristobal's going to go get him.
I'd probably line us up at Virginia Tech next year or something. Yeah. Texter says, no, it's not. No, we can't. Texas, you know what made last night even worse? Having to listen to Jimmy Dykes the entire time. The man only has 2 types of commentary, stating blatantly obvious things or stating completely incorrect things. That's pretty much exactly right.
Guy like stuff that gives me hope, Mike.
Guy like takes a behind the back half court 3, and he's like, "That's not a good shot right there, Carl. It's not a good shot. Don't like it." Or you know,
somebody will throw an alley-oop nowhere near the good idea there, good pass. He wasn't able to corral it in though.
It is one of 2 things.
Didn't even hit his hands.
It's you know, that 3-point shot was good where it went in, or just something that is blatantly wrong, like the Michael Brown shooting not a great part of his game. It's like, what?
Not the best ball handler.
Yeah. Not sure he can finish at the rim over competition. He dunks on 7 guys the next play. Texture says, Mike, I don't want to hear any Michael slander. Bad shooting night, yes, but my guy was battling. I don't like our lineup and style choices for that game. Okay. Too much small ball.
Somebody else saying it.
We need Kaysen back for bigger minutes ASAP so we can slide Hadley to the 3. Also, I think for physical teams, playing more Kobe, Woolley at the 2, and Hadley at the 3 is essential. I trust PK to find the tweaks just like he did last year. On to the Hoosiers. Let's 40-piece them.
For the same take that you thought, like, that you had that potentially happening with him wanting to have Hadley out there for so many minutes at a time, have that mindset about him with your second unit. You know?
Yeah.
I get that you feel very confident that you've got Kobe and Allie coming out there, and there's guys that know the system. So does Javon. Like, that can be your second unit. You can make your athletic guys. I mean, I get Pryor's not ready, and that probably would be how you would want to go about it. But I'd like to see I'd like to see Hadley run with Kobe and Ollie more.
Here's what I'd like to see. We have so many unique pieces on this team. I'd like to see us play guys based on the situation. Play guys based on the opponent. I mean, we've talked about this so much already. They're going to be.
He's not going to do that.
Yeah, but he needs to. Like, there are games where Javon is going to really help us. And there are games like last night and the Cincinnati game where he's working at a massive disadvantage. There are games where I think Ali Khalifa can really help us. There are games like last night where he's up against it. There are games where Isaac McNeely can really help us. Play guys based on your opponents. Play guys based on, situation stuff.
Yeah.
Like, just because, like I'm fine with a guy on a certain night playing 30 minutes and on the next night against a different team playing like 10 minutes. I think we've got that many unique different pieces on our roster. And if Kaysen gets fully healthy, I think he's one of those guys. I think there are games where he probably needs to be out there for like 25, 30 minutes, and other games where he probably needs to be out there for like 9 minutes. Kanai the same way. Javon the same way. Some of the guys, I think by the end of the year, Adrian Woolley is going to be the same way. I think he's going to be tough to keep off the court when we get deeper into the season because of his defensive intensity and because he's the best at getting to the rim on the team of anybody besides Michael. So, like, mix and match. We have some of the best scouting coaches, I think, in all of college basketball. You know what the team we're about to play does well and what they don't do well. Play your lineups accordingly. On the YouTube stream, we have a comment, just joking, but I think Javon got those veneers and lost the dog in him. He needs to revert to his old teeth for this team to reach its ceiling. It's not a terrible take. Veneers Javon just doesn't have that same edge, Roman.
Maybe he doesn't. Also, yeah, he needs to start being, our bad guy.
I think so too. Texas says Jimmy Dykes was awful on commentary. He's a bigger SEC shield than Feinbaum. Well, we knew this going in. We knew it was going to happen. Texas Riddler here. I saw the Ty Spalding tweet of the Jody Demling report that Louisville is saying they have NIL commitments to support fielding a title contender for a football roster. We talked about this yesterday. I don't see how that's possible without a billionaire booster. Did we just bring back John Schnatter? Now that is a vision move, Josh. New Riddler demand. In terms of the ball game, I'm optimistic that we can claw back from that deficit with poor overall shooting percentages. We will be fine. Rashawn, stop feuding with Michael's dad on Twitter. We don't need the "this is why you don't get elite talent" takes all over Twitter to haunt us. Let PK cook. P.S. Lawsuit Josh. I did see Rashawn and Michael's dad again going at it.
Yeah, I don't think Michael's dad knew Rashawn was joking, but
yeah, I don't think he knew that I was joking the game before when he sent me some DMs.
I've been purposely. He doesn't follow me, but I don't want to make any tweets about Michael to get too many likes. I don't need that.
I think I sent you the DM that he sent me initially after the game, and I sent it to Danny, and Danny was like, "You may have to bend the knee on this one." He's like, "If it was anybody else's dad, I'd be fine." I was like, "I'm not bending the knee, but I am going to let him know that it was a pretty harmless joke about the way that he looks like a sports dad in the crowd." I also like Michael's dad is talking about the negativity that's out there. Imagine if Michael had gone to UK or something. This is every college basketball fan base out there. This is the way that it's going to be. It's just.
Yeah, Pops will be getting in arguments every night.
Yeah, everybody loves Michael. He is an unbelievable talent. We're all beyond ecstatic that he's here playing basketball for the University of Louisville. But it's not like people are just miraculously not going to say critical things when the team is losing about Michael or anybody, It's just, this is fandom. This is sports. There's lots of money involved. Big deal. Texture says, I think the breakdown is very simple. Effort, and effort. Defense and rebounding suffered because we weren't making shots. Otherwise, the shot selection was just bad. This team should take 1,000,000 threes, but they need to be accompanied by a paint touch first. I agree with that. Also, it took Will Stein approximately 2 seconds to become over-the-top obnoxious.
These quotes
they're bad.
They don't match the kind of guy who's going to be able to handle the kind of personnel UK typically gets.
I've seen, and look, the easiest thing in the world to do is to come in and be a new head coach of a program that had gotten sick of its old head coach and win those first few days. And certainly most UK fans were like, hell yeah, get him, Will, great press conference and all this stuff. Some of the quotes that I saw as a result of the radio interview he did this morning, I did see a handful of UK fans being like this is kind of annoying. why is he saying these types of things? Like, who does he think he is? Like, let's see some results before we start. I think he's trying to do the new young coach, the Kurt Signetti thing. Who's Bob Mackey, the coach at James Madison, who just got the UCLA job or is going to get the UCLA job, where you're just like, you're over the top brash because it's good for the brand and it's good for NIL and it's good. I think that he's kind of trying to take on that mentality. And that's fine if you win. If you don't, people will make fun of you and your fan base will get super annoyed. And UK is a tough place to win. If he does, tip your cap.
I'd be interested to see how he handles the locker room.
I agree with the second part of this tweet, too. Like, I'm fine with us taking 37 threes. It's the offense. We took bad threes a lot last night. Just because you have the green light to take shots from the outside doesn't mean that you should be taking challenge 25-footers on a consistent basis.
Or 10 dribbles and then pulling up.
Especially when, we've got multiple guys out there that can shoot it at almost all times. We've got 4 good outside shooters on the court at the same time. Don't take a bad shot when you know that you can find a better one later in the shot clock. Like, we settled a lot last night, especially late in the game, too, when we were trying to make that comeback and Arkansas kept scoring. We just, we don't need 26-footers 5 seconds into the shot clock. Work the ball around, find a good shot, and then take it. If semi-challenge, that's okay. We've got good shooters out there, but the heavily contested fadeaway 24-footers with 20 seconds to shoot, like, that's what we need to get out of the system. Let's take a break. When we come back, more from you guys on the Game Day Men's Health text line. 502-414-1450. It's the Mike Rutherford Show here on 1450 The Big X. Roman's picking up the morale today with the music.
Be happy.
Nothing here is screwed, dude. Everything is fine. Just a loss. Just a loss. 4 o'clock hour here at the Mike Rutherford Show, presented by United Mechanical and Nexus Plus, 1450, 96.1 Big X Sports Radio. A little bit of news here via the footballscoop.com website. According to them, Jamarcus Shepard, who is the new Oregon State head football coach, is targeting, and I guess is going to get, a Louisville staff member on his staff. It's Louisville defensive quality control specialist Dan Rowe. Roman, are you a Dan Rowe fan?
I'm not very familiar with.
Couldn't tell you Dan Rowe was on the staff before today. I'm not saying that to that's on me. But Rowe, who has worked apparently closely with Louisville secondary the past 2 years, is expected to join Shepard's staff at Oregon State as a defensive assistant. So there's an open spot on Louisville staff. If you out there would like to apply, let Jeff Brom know. Maybe he'll consider you. But that is via footballscoop.com. Also saw this today. Only Ken Palm would write about something like this. He has a lengthy post on his Substack about jump balls and the importance of, when two players get their hands on the ball at the same time, before they actually whistle it and call it an official jump ball, who can win that more times than not and maintain possession for their team. And as only Ken Palm can do, he went back and looked at all this, and he ranked the 20 best jump ball winners of the past 3 seasons. And a current Louisville player appears on the list, Roman. Sananda Frew.
Really?
Is number 17 on this list. Now, it's a very, very small sample size compared to just about everybody on this list. But according to Ken Palm's stats, Sananda Frew has been involved in 8 jump ball situations this season. He's won 7 of them. So there's that fight that we're talking about a little bit.
Felt like he was the only one who had it last night.
It kind of did. And I think one of those...
Michael in the second half, offensively.
Michael offensively
the mindset, he had it, clearly, but we didn't want the basketball as much as I wanted us to have it last night.
We had some guys get bullied a little bit. There's no question about that. We mentioned this sort of in passing at the end of the first segment as well. Louisville's going to play Indiana in Indianapolis on Saturday. And the Hoosiers now... They played, I said it was probably the best team they played. I don't know if it even was. Minnesota's not very good. Kansas State, I think, is probably a better team. But they go to Minnesota last night, a Golden Gopher team that has lost by 23 to Missouri, 12 to San Francisco. Stanford beat them by 4. Santa Clara beat them by 11. And that same 4-4 Minnesota team takes down Indiana last night. The Hoosiers are kind of licking their wounds a little bit right now. And all of a sudden, Darian DeVries, he's going to want to stop the bleeding as much as he possibly can, because you lose 2 games in a row getting ready for Kentucky next week. That fan base is going to be like, are we even that good, or whatever. So all of a sudden you have a very motivated Indiana team coming to Indianapolis, and we kind of feel like we need to win this game for the same reasons. You don't want to go from number 6 in the country, 7-0, having all the momentum in the world, to suddenly you've lost 2 in a row going into a week where you're going to play Memphis State on Saturday and then at Tennessee on Tuesday. This has become a big game for both teams, Roman. It was going to be a big game regardless. Now, all of a sudden, it feels like it takes on a different level of importance because of what both teams did last night.
Yeah, probably feels like, not probably, both teams definitely feel like they need this one.
We kind of do. Like I said, a home win over Kentucky, I'm not doing this to rivalry, a home win over Kentucky is not guaranteed to be a quad 1 win at this point.
You just heard it here first, December 4th, 4:04 p.m. Mike saying the game against Indiana this Saturday is a must-win game.
No. I thought you were going to be like Mike saying the Kentucky win's going to be a quad 2 win, and I was fine with that. I'm not fine with you doing
quad 3 win.
No, I'm not fine with you doing the must-win joke.
I've already said it.
No, I haven't.
Said we need it.
We do need it. We don't have to have it. We need it. It's different. Don't argue semantics with me. It's a big game for us. It's a big game for them, too. If I ask you, okay.
I was talking earlier a couple days ago, and I had this feeling we beat Arkansas. I mean, we lose to Arkansas, but we beat Tennessee.
Okay, so that leads me to what I was going to ask. We've got now, based on the way that we played last night, Indiana on a neutral court, which is basically going to be, I think, probably 75% IU fans. Tennessee, Memphis at home, and then Tennessee on the road. 3-game stretch coming up over the next 12 days. How many do we win?
3.
You think we win all 3?
I do.
I think we beat IU this weekend. I think we beat Memphis State, but it's a little bit closer than we would like. Memphis still has talent. They're kind of sort of figuring things out. They should have beaten Wake. They played Purdue close. They blasted the 2 teams. Now, they played Baylor Saturday, so we'll get a better indication of where they are. That's another one where like we have a non-conference team that's guaranteed to lose that game, which is not ideal. I think we'll win that game. I think we'll lose at Tennessee, just based off of what I saw last night.
But what about what you saw Tuesday night?
What do you mean? From Tennessee, you mean?
Yeah.
They were on the road. That's my big thing. They like Knoxville has become a very, very tough place to play. Thompson Bowling, when it gets rolling, is super tough to win. They don't lose at home all that often. And their 2 losses this season have been neutral court, true road game. They do a lot of the same things that Arkansas did. They will play bully ball. They will try to kill us on the boards. They'll try to, I mean, they're better defensively, certainly, than Arkansas is. They're not as talented, I think, offensively, but they've got some unique matchups for us, namely Nate Ament, who we know pretty well. But they've also got a beast in the middle. Felix Okpara, he'll do the same types of things to us that, you know, Mocham did for Cincinnati, and that some of their bigs did last night for Arkansas.
Who can handle Okpara? I'm worried about the Carey kid.
Jalen Carey?
Yeah.
He's good. I mean, Jacoby Gillespie's very good.
270.
But he's like 6'8".
Yeah. But he bangs down low.
It's another game where it's like, Javon, you can't. It's like, that's not. Like, we need Kanai and Kaysen in that one, too. That one worries me more than the other 2. I think we go 2-1. And I think it's the 2-2 stretch over these 4 games that I was kind of like, all right, you know, it's not the worst thing in the world, but it's not the confirmation that we were all looking for when it comes to this team. They're elite right now and they're a top-tier national title contender, but I still think you can get there if you win 2 of these 4.
Syracuse did an amazing job of limiting anything clean on the perimeter to Tennessee,
which is what you got to do against them.
They made Nate Ament struggle off the dribble. I'm not going to say they made Gillespie Gillespie took bad shots. It's like a lot of those floaters and types of things that
he's a bad shot taker.
Acuff was taking last night. You know, those 6-foot runners that just they're not really great shots. He's hoping for a foul call every time. If we can up the intensity, take that smack in the face, obviously parlay that into having won against Indiana and having momentum, I like our chances against Tennessee.
I like having that game so close to the Arkansas one because I think that'll be a good litmus test for did we learn our lesson?
Yeah.
Because if we go out there and we're the aggressor and we match their physicality and we don't let them push us around, that's a solid, like, okay, they figured out on December 3rd what they've got to do against those types of teams. And I'm not saying that Arkansas and Tennessee, they play very, very different. Arkansas plays very fast. Tennessee doesn't play that fast. They are the philosophies are different, but they both will try to bully every team they play. Mm-hmm. And if we kind of let Arkansas do it last night, if we let Tennessee do it in whatever that game is, 13 days, 12 days, then I think you kind of assume the mentality of, well, this is just who we are. We can't combat it against teams like that. We just have to hope to either avoid playing teams like that in the tournament, or we've got to hit like 25 threes against teams like that in the tournament because they're going to do whatever they want to us on the inside. They're going to kill us on the boards. They're going to shoot more free throws than we do. Like, that's who we are. Hopefully, that's not the case. Game Day Men's Health text line 502-414-1450. Let's go back to you guys and hear what you had to say. Texas, I'm not going to overreact to one game as adversity and losses come for everyone in the season. Offense was much better in the second half, especially getting into the paint. The defense rebounding needs to improve, and I think it can and will. Thoughts on front court combos of Roots, Frew, Pryor, or Roots, Frew, Hadley getting some more minutes to add length, even if you were taking a shooter off the floor? Roman, it kind of sounds like you want to see more of this, where it's like Michael and Conwell or Michael and McNeely, and then the bigger 3-4-5 lineup.
I mean, yeah, I'd like to see that. I'd like to see, I think the Roos, Frew, Pryor with Woolley and Michael, that's like a really, really good defensive lineup. I think that still gives you that offensive threat with two different ball handlers who can also shoot as well. I get that you're probably going to be asking too much of Roots and Pryor in that type of a lineup without that third shooter. I think defensively and what we've seen rebounding-wise against these long, lengthy teams, Mike, you've got to go into those lineups just a few more minutes than you have.
Yeah, I don't hate it. I think we become a lot easier to guard, obviously, if
Roots and Pryor are out there, there's typically going to be someone that they should be able to get by.
But I'm saying, I don't think anybody cares if they shoot threes. Like, nobody's guarding those guys on the perimeter. Like, they were daring Kanai to shoot the three when he was out there last night. He took two. He missed them both. Kaysen took a wide-open three. Everyone's just going to sag off of – I mean, you saw, like, even though Khalifa hit three a couple games ago, they didn't guard him at all. They didn't guard – they played off Hadley, even though he's shooting, like, 60% this year from three. He hadn't taken a bunch because they're like, we feel like if he catches and shoots it, we can still at least affect the shot with our length. They will just muddy up the middle.
Those guys got to be able to get to the rim. Roos and Pryor have to be able to get to the rim.
It's tougher when the guy's playing 6 feet off you. I think everyone will just say we're cutting off the drive. If you beat us with your jump shot, tip your cap. But I would like to see how it works, just because there's no question that's a better defensive lineup for us
and rebounding.
I just know. I mean, Javon is such a tweener on this team. And we had to play him out of necessity last year, and he did a great job playing out of position. Like I don't know how. I think I agree with you. He's more of a natural three. I don't know how effective of a three he is in this system, though.
I feel like I can see like 4 or 5 buckets, him in that Colorado jersey, them in transition. He just gets it left side or right side of the floor, head down, shoulder in, gets to the bucket. Left hand and right hand finishes because he can play through contact. In transition, he can play through the contact well. In the half court, he's not that good at it. And I know he can be a scorer in transition. The shooting is what's interesting, and I don't know how much I want him on the free throw line as of late.
You know what I would love to happen is, we all agree, we love Javon, but we all agree we've seen his ceiling just about as a player. Now, he can get a little bit better this year, but he's been playing college basketball for 6 years. What I would love is for Kanai to make this thing really simple, where he keeps working his ass off, he keeps improving, and it gets to a point where everybody who watches this team play, including the coaches, they all come to the same conclusion, which is like he's got to be the 4 when we get to March. Like, he can simplify this entire argument because he's got the size and he's got the length and he's got the athleticism
and that tenacity.
Everything that you want from a 4. If he can get his shooting improved, if he can clean up the ball handling, if he can become a guy who knows where he's supposed to be at all times defensively, that's the best thing possible for this team.
It is.
I don't know if we get there this year, but we've got 3 months to get to that point where I think by early February you're like, all right, like we kind of know who we are as a team.
I think it's a positive. We've already seen the flashes of it too, though.
We have. We just haven't seen it against anybody with a pulse. Defensively, sure, but he hadn't scored against anybody that we've played who's good. Kentucky, Cincinnati, last night, nothing on offense. That's got to change. But also, he only played, 9 minutes last night?
Yeah.
Like, if I'm Kelsey and I'm trying to figure out something about my team, one of these games over the next week and a half, I'm throwing him out there for like 22 minutes, letting him play through some mistakes and just seeing how it goes. Not at the risk of losing the actual game. But if you feel like you can beat Memphis while having Kanai out there for an extended period of time.
That's an athletic test, though.
See how he does. See what he does. Texture says, has anyone woken Kenny Payne up yet and let him know that they won the game? I don't think Kenny moved the entire game. They did show him on camera one time early on, and I got like the heebie-jeebies.
He had a paper in his hand for a really long time, and all I could wonder was what was on it.
Just doodles. Just like, that Superman symbol that everybody drew growing up. Like
Arkansas's roster's on it.
The 3D cube that everybody figured out how to draw when they were like 7 years old in school. Just that over and over and over.
That 3D.
That's what I said. Yeah, the
cube. Okay, what was the cube too?
The first one I said was the Superman symbol. The S, and then the cube. Those are the only things that I could do back in the day. When I used to do radio with John, if you're listening, I apologize. Like, John would just constantly doodle while I was talking, and he sits right across from me. So it was always
watching him doodle.
Yeah, it was always a little bit, and it was just him writing his name and song notes, like lyric notes, like for music, like the little music symbol. just over and over and over. And I always got so distracted when he was doing it. I'm like, you've written 75 music notes during the show today.
That's a weird one there.
Are you listening to what I'm saying? Texter says, I hope Pryor and Root start getting more of Hadley's minutes. He plays scared on offense. We can't have Conwell and Brown being the only creators. It's just like last year with Edwards and Chucky. I also think that this is why I think that Wooley's going to start playing more as we get deeper into the season. Because he can create. And he's got a good, aggressive offensive mindset. I think when he figures out like when he can get all the way to the rim and when he shouldn't because it's like 1-on-3, that's when he makes that next jump. Because like he'll have a really good drive, and then I think that'll give him the confidence to do it again. And then it's like 1-on-4, and you're like, all right, yeah, that's not the good one. He airballs a layup or he gets his bleep thrown 15 rows into the crowd. But I think he can help us out when it comes to creating. But I agree with you. As of right now, it does feel a lot like last year's offense, where it's just a lot of dribbling from Ryan or a lot of dribbling from Michael, and nobody else really being able to gain an advantage off the bounce. It's not really Isaac's game. It's not really Javon's game, and Fruit's
it's not a line drive for Isaac. He's not going to do much.
Yeah. Dave, teacher from Jeffersonville, said, brother, I don't even want to talk about it. Some unforgivable foul calls, and we played weak in the first, though it's easy to be the tougher team when you don't commit any fouls, huh? Football hot take, I think it's a good thing for U of L that Sataki stayed at BYU. If guys like Sataki don't feel like they can win big at their home program, that bodes poorly for Braum sticking around long term. Last UK football game thought, best swag surf I've ever seen from the students. 4 full sections again. Let's keep it rolling. Oh, and screw Isaac Brown. Wasn't fully bought in all year. Enjoy 8-4 Texas. Not going to go that far.
I'll go that far.
That's okay. Yeah. I'm like 75% that far. The student section, congratulations to the students. We got called out earlier in the year. I said they weren't swagging and surfing right. They fixed it by the end of the season.
Shout out to the conductor of that. Trying to
props to that guy.
Take matters into his own hands there.
Clearly had an effect. See, problems can be fixed. Seasons are long. Just because something is true in the first month of the season doesn't mean that it's going to be true at the end of the season. Unless you're talking about quarterback play at Louisville this year. Which, I mean, look, Miller played well in the last game. He figured it out. He only threw one terrible pass right to the other team, and thankfully they dropped it. So there was that. That was progress.
12 for 20. Not bad.
He was 12 for 20.
It's all right.
He did what he needed to do.
He did. The scrambles impressed me.
He quarterbacked a team that won 41-0 against its rival. There you go. I did. I mean, we talked at the. I hate having to do like the whole like we told you this was going to happen, but we did say if the whistle is tight early on, Louisville has to adjust because Arkansas is a great free throw shooting team. When I saw the foul that they called on Kobe Rogers, like when he was trying to press full court, that was the moment where I was like, all right, like we've got to figure it out. What was frustrating was it wasn't tight on the other end. Like, again, if it's an overly tight whistle, fine. If it's an overly loose whistle, fine. Just make sure that it's a consistent whistle on both ends. I felt like they got away with a lot of hand checking on their end. We couldn't put any part of our arms on the other guy if he had the ball and not get a foul call. That was annoying, but you kind of have to adjust to it. And we did commit some pretty heinous fouls down the stretch at times where we really didn't need to, where it was like, move your feet, don't grab. What are you laughing at?
No, I'm just saying, yeah, move your feet. Like,
move your feet. Move your feet. Little Dumper says, I'm just going to say it. I think Dawn Staley is annoying. I'm not a fan. Dawn Staley shot. I kind of like Dawn Staley. I don't have any. I mean, I hope she loses tonight.
You don't like Dawn Staley.
I like Dawn Staley.
No, you don't.
Yes, I do. What's wrong with Dawn Staley? What does she do that annoys you?
No comment.
Okay. I feel like you want to give. I mean, like nobody's going to cancel you for giving a Dawn Staley hot take here.
I think Dawn's just a little dramatic.
I do. Okay. I can agree with that. I think there's some times where she's played up certain things that have. She still doesn't like bother me that much.
No, she's done a lot for the sport.
She has.
And I'm not going to ever put any. She clearly just knows that too, though, and you can see that and kind of hear that in her tone nowadays.
You think she feels like she's got like free will to say whatever she wants because she knows how much of a big figure she is.
Yeah, which she's earned that.
She's not alone. I mean, there are people like that on the men's side as well, for sure. although they probably do rub people the wrong. I mean, Coach K kind of was that same way. But Dawn Staley and South Carolina will take on Louisville tonight. ACC SEC Challenge at the KFC Yum Center. That's going to be a 7 o'clock tip-off. ESPN has the TV coverage, but if you make it out to the arena tonight, it is going to be a stripe out. So check out the graphic. I retweeted it just like half an hour ago. If you're going out there, check your ticket stub, see what section you're sitting in, and figure out if you need to be wearing black, which is odd sections, you're wearing black. Even sections, they're wearing white. Kind of weird that we're doing a stripe out without a red.
Yeah.
You know? We did black and red for basketball
colors.
last year.
Red needs to be one.
We did black and red for men's last year, and it worked out pretty well. Was that the Duke game, I think? Whatever game we did it was. I thought it was going to be bad. We did great.
Clemson for some reason.
Whatever game it was, looked great. It's wonderful.
Think they do it again this year?
Yes.
Red and white?
Give me a red and white one. Red and black was cool. We'll see how black and white looks tonight. But give me red and white. I feel like those are our big primary colors. Texter says, hey, guys, do you expect changes to the starting lineup or rotation after last night's game?
No.
I don't either.
It's not prone to that, really.
I mean, as of right now, it's one loss, right? Kelsey was clearly not thrilled with the way that things went last night, but I don't think he's going to just shake everything up entirely because we lost a road game against a top 25 team by 9 points.
A lot of misses in that middle portion of that second half, too.
Yeah, I mean, you knew at some point they were going to cool off. They're not a great shooting team. And we played better defense for a stretch until the end when they were like, all right, high ball screen, make Frew switch. Michael can't keep anybody in front of him. Keep doing it. Rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat, and we either fouled or they scored every single time. But no, I don't expect there to be a major shakeup. If we lose to Indiana on Saturday, then you get a week off before you play Memphis. That's when I think that Pat may say, like, all right, let's shake some stuff up. What's going on right now isn't working. Texter says, this might be a bad take. You're on the right show for that. But this is one of the first times in my 30 years of Louisville fandom that I'm not worried about a loss spiraling into more. I feel confident this team responds on Saturday. I do too. This is one of those, like I keep saying, I'm not going to act like I just shrugged this thing off last night, like I wasn't pissed off about the way that we played and frustrated during the game. But it didn't bother me nearly as much when I woke up as I thought it was going to. I trust the staff and I trust this group's ability to fix the issues that forced us to lose that game last night.
Yes.
If they lose on Saturday, that's when I'm kind of like, all right, concern has mounted. I don't think they're going to lose on Saturday. I don't think they're going to lose to Memphis. I do think they'll lose to Tennessee as of right now. But I think they could beat Tennessee. Until I see this 2 games in a row, I'm not going to get overly concerned.
I'm not going to ever be glad for a win or for a loss ever. I'm not going to ever wish it upon my team. But with that being said,
I hate the notion of good losses, by the way.
There's no such thing. Losses are always bad. For what they need to do and what they need to fix, what they experienced out there last night, I think is going to be good for them.
Yeah, I mean, you can learn from losses. I'm not saying that you can't benefit from losses. I'm just saying that I think the downside to a loss almost always outweighs any benefit that comes from a loss. You want to learn lessons, but you want to learn them while actually winning the game. Having said that, you can take away things from losses, and hopefully last night's going to be a learning lesson. But also, I mean, just sometimes you get beaten by good teams. Arkansas is a good team. We played them on the road. First true road game of the season.
Couple NBA players on that team.
We got beat. They had some guys step up. They had some guys play really well. We did some things that I think are out of character. It happens. Texas, would you accept a loss last night where Duke lost 2 years ago if it put us in a position for a very deep March run? Or would you have preferred to have won to stunt at Kenny Payne but end up like Brandon Miller-led Alabama, where you peak in the regular season and lose in the Sweet 16? Stallworth, you know my answer to this question.
You know, Stallworth.
I want the deep run in March. That's all I care about at the end of the day. It's all any of us should care about at the end of the day. This is all important because you're positioning yourself to have the best chance for that deep run in March. That's what it comes down to. If we go to a Final Four, I mean, if we win a national title this year, not one of us is going to be like, oh, but I hate that we lost to Kenny Payne and John. Nobody cares. I want to win every game we play, but at the end of the day, it's all about trying to go as deep as you can in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
Texas Lazard guy here. What's up, Lazard guy? I've got no doubt that PK will learn a lot from that game. My opinion, Khalifa can't play in matchups like that.
Yep.
Hadley can't play the 4 in matchups like that, and I'd like to see more prior K9. I was disappointed that PK never made an adjustment during that 7 to 8 minute stretch where we were getting murdered switching. Disappointed in our offense, and the final 3 minutes resorted to chucking contested threes.
It's one of the things I said last night in the group chat. I said, I can't decide if I want this team to switch or not. We weren't communicating at all last night.
No talking. No.
And that's kind of been a reoccurring theme already a little bit this season and last season.
Mary came downstairs after getting the kids down for the last, 6 minutes of the game. And at the end, when there was 2 minutes left and we were down by 9 and we were acting like we were down by 30 and taking shots from half court, Mary just goes, are they supposed to be doing this? she was like, I was like, no. She's like, it feels like this is not good. I was like, no, I don't know. I was like, this feels like a little bit overly panicky for the situation.
Yeah. Holly was like, what are they doing?
It was, both of the girls were right in questioning what was going on. Final hour of the show is up next. We'll touch on some things that we haven't gotten to yet, take more texts, and look ahead to the night that will be in sports. Keep it locked right here on the Big X. It's gonna be a bright, sunshiny day. It's not sunshiny, but at least it's not 22 degrees today. Some of that snow starting to melt. It's pretty snow. I'm kind of over it. I'm ready for it to be gone for a little bit. You can come back around Christmas
Ready
time.
for some sunshine.
Give me it's early December. Give me a week or so where it's I don't know, high 40s and sunny. I'm not asking for it to be 70 and sunny. Just give me a couple days where it's the seasonal depression doesn't need to kick in just yet.
Did you say that Will Stein wasn't going to be calling plays?
Yes. Have you seen that?
Yeah, that's.
It feels. Does that not feel crazy?
That would have been the whole point, man.
So he's bringing in the old offensive coordinator from LSU, who LSU fans hated, and I mean, Will's whole thing is supposed to be, I'm the best offensive coordinator in college football. I'm one of the most brilliant offensive minds in college football. I'm calling the plays for Oregon right now, who's chasing down a national championship, and he's not going to call the plays for Kentucky? Like, I'm like you. Isn't that supposed to be the biggest asset of bringing him in?
That's what I thought. You're bringing in a guy who can run the team and be that offensive guy for you.
Here's the problem with doing that. I mean, one of the problems with doing that is if the offense struggles at all,
as soon as it's bad,
every UK fan is like, Stein needs to call the plays. I mean, how the Lions are dealing with this right now, where they lose Ben Johnson, they bring in John Morton, the new offensive coordinator. The offense falls off dramatically, and immediately everyone's like, well, Dan Campbell used to call the plays. Dan Campbell needs to call the plays. And now Dan Campbell's calling the plays. The offense still hasn't been very good, and people are like, well, Dan Campbell sucks. This is terrible. Who's the offensive coordinator? They got to bring in a new guy. Like, that's the situation you put yourself in if you're doing the flip-flop deal. And like, especially with Will, if he's had a lot of success, I mean, he called the plays, I think, at UTSA when he was the OC there. He's been calling them for the last couple of years at Oregon. It's hard to relinquish that control. Even if you feel like you're bringing in a proven commodity at this level, if like one series goes wrong, you're like, well, I wouldn't have done that. I just feel like that's a weird thing to have going.
Yeah, I would have started the other way around. You call the plays these first couple years, see what happens, see how the fan base responds, and if you feel like you need to make a change, go get an offensive coordinator who's better than you. I would not have gone this route.
Oh no, I think Mark Ennis got hacked on Twitter.
No.
Someone needs to tell him. Can we call into his show right now and tell him that I think he got hacked?
I thought
he's got a big post about crypto blessings and big love to his crypto coach.
With his truck.
Who is somebody that I have blocked on Twitter, so I'm sure that I've been tagged on him. Yeah, it's bad. Oh, no. This reminds me, one of my friends got hacked on Instagram and just started constantly DMing everybody about Ray-Ban sunglasses. And I just could not figure out how to get it off. He was like, I'm just trying to make some extra money, guys. And I was like, I can't even tell if you're joking at this point. But he had been hacked. That's not good.
I'll throw him a like so he knows.
Don't do that. I feel like that's how they get you.
Now I'm going to be hacked.
See, here's I click on nothing anymore. I probably, if I was going to jail for like not paying a bill that I missed somehow or like not paying a tax, I would have no idea because I ignore everything. I'm like, you're not going to get me hacked. I'm not clicking on something that's going to give me a virus. I'm not answering this phone call. Like, I had a voicemail today from somebody at the Cathedral of the Assumption, and I was like, it's scam. I don't even need to scam to it. Why would they want to talk to me? There's no reason. You're not going to bring me in. I'm not going to do blog advertising or podcast advertising for the Cathedral of the Assumption. I don't even know if I'm going to call you back. I felt bad about it, but I'm like, scam. I don't trust anybody anymore, Roman. It's a cynical world that we live in.
Yeah, it's tough out here.
It is tough out here. Louisville, with last night's loss to Arkansas, they dipped in all of the daily rankings that are out there. Gary Parrish has them down to 13. John Rothstein, I think, has them at 13. Ken Pom also has them at 13. Their offense went from the second best in the country to the fourth best in the country. Their defense dropped 10 whole spots from 26th in the country to 36th in the country. We now are just behind Florida. I think we're better than Florida still. And right ahead of Alabama, 2 spots ahead of Kentucky. I don't know. Are they doing the daily net rankings updates just yet?
Where's North Carolina on there?
On Ken Pom?
Yeah.
Got to be down in like 26 range. 23. Why?
Just curious.
We did fall from number 9 to number 12 in the net rankings, which as of right now, we still have the win over Kentucky, who is 20th, is a quad 1 win. Yesterday's loss was a quad 1 loss, so we're 1-1 in quad 1 games. And in case you were wondering,
since he's now quad 2,
since he's like a quad 6 at this point, at this point, Indiana is number 24. So as of right now, a win over them on Saturday on a neutral court will count easily as a quad one victory, so we can get our second quad one win. Whereas Cincinnati, Cincinnati's not even a quad. They're 134th in the net rankings.
Wow, they dipped that bad.
I mean, Eastern Michigan is terrible, and they lost to them. So they are actually, as of right now, a quad 3 victory for us. No, I take it, they are a quad 4 win for us. That's terrible.
Because it was neutral, not away.
Yeah. Well, it wouldn't matter. They're not top 75, so it wouldn't even matter if they were, I guess, I think 100, top 100 is the quad 2 for a true road game. But that's, not great. So we are 1-1 in quad 1 games, 1-0 in quad 3 games, 5-0 in quad 4 games. Quad 1 opportunity coming up on Saturday against Indiana. Need to make the most of it. Let's bounce back. Let's go. If you're looking for the early, there's no official early line, but Ken Palm does have us winning that game over IU by 4 points. I feel like 3.5, 4 is about the right line for that. What do you think?
It should be like 5.5.
You're not buying into the Darian DeVries hype?
No. Well, not defensively, no.
I just saw what you sent me. Come on. I agree. Not a big fan of the Royal Palm Invitational. Don't love it. Don't love what's happening to college basketball in the early season tournaments, but
can't believe they're doing this.
Kind of understand it. By the way, it's now official. The ACC has named Tony Elliott of Virginia as the ACC Coach of the Year. They've not named, I don't think they've named the ACC Offensive or Defensive Player of the Year. I think we can assume it's going to be Haynes King on the offensive side. I think it's going to be Ruben Bain on the defense. Well, they named Haynes King the Offensive Player of the Year yesterday. And Ruben Bain was the Defensive Player of the Year. No, I know you're kind of a Haynes King hater. Do you have an issue with him being named Offensive Player of the Year?
A little bit.
Okay. Who do you think deserves the award?
That's the only reason he won. Is who do you give it to him more?
Well, who would you give it to? You have no name. You just don't want it to be Haynes King.
I just don't want it to be Haynes.
Give it to Miller Moss. Chris Bell. Chris Bell should have won it.
Give it to, what's his name? Hollywood Smothers.
There you go. Malachi Toney, by the way, was named the ACC Rookie of the Year and the Offensive Rookie of the Year. I've got no issue with any of this. That guy was outrageous. Haynes King.
Give him a call.
Malachi Toney?
Got to give him a call. Right?
Bring him in here. How would you feel about playing in exchange for, I don't know, Papa John's coupons?
Listen, you can play any position you want.
Got to feed the studs. Get the ball out here. What, have you heard the controversy about the feed the stud stuff?
No.
I've seen it. So this is one of my favorite rivalry things that has happened around here because it's so local. So Bobby Petrino, when he got the head coaching job here, famously coined the phrase feed the studs because we had all these just, Montrell Jones and Michael Bush and Eric Shelton, and he was like, get the balls in the hands of your best players and let them go out there and be elite athletes. Very simple philosophy on paper, but it became kind of a calling card for the entire program for years after that. I think we brought it up every single football year that we've discussed since I've been on the radio. Hey, feed the studs. And Will Stein, who, obviously grew up around here, played for Louisville, he's got all of these videos on YouTube where he's at these, counseling sessions and teaching camps and all this stuff, coaching camps where he's giving presentations, where he's talking about his feed the studs philosophy. And UK fans are like, oh my God, this is incredible. Feed the studs. And they're all like hashtagging feed the studs. And it became, Louisville fans very quickly were like that's kind of our thing. He took it from us. And it became this argument where people were like, well, I went to Trinity with him. And it's a Trinity thing. And he learned it there. And of course, Will Stein played at Trinity after Bobby Petrino was already the head coach here. And then a video has surfaced since then where Will is at Oregon. He's doing some sort of like Zoom call with the media. And he straight up says, feed the studs is my offensive philosophy. I stole it from Bobby Petrino. He had a big thing. So very clear. But I love that this has become a big debate where it's like, no, it's our thing. No, it's his thing. No, it's Trinity's thing. No, it's Louisville's thing. It's just such a like Louisville and state of Kentucky fan debate. It's wonderful.
It is.
It's great.
That's great.
But to summarize, it's our thing. And he's trying to take it now and make it his thing, which is not the first time. By the way, John Wall dance, created by a Louisville rapper. Come on. everything that you guys do, we've started, and you take it from us because you don't have any creativity. We do. Especially you on the Game Day Men's Health text line. 502-414-1450 is the number there. We'll take some more texts from you guys. Lots of responses today, of course, because it was a basketball loss last night. That's the way that it goes around here, and we're fine with that. Red Zeppelin, I didn't give you that name. Where did that come from? Red Zeppelin has said Louisville played like they were hoping to win. Arkansas played like they were determined to win. Agree, disagree, Roman? I kind of agree.
A little bit, I agree.
They were, we've got the big win over Kentucky, although it didn't look as good as it did at the time. We beat Cincinnati on a neutral, which seemed like a big deal at the time. Arkansas had played two really good teams before us and lost competitive games against both. They needed the win probably more than we did, especially since it was being played on their home floor. And it kind of looked that way last night, which was really disappointing to me, at least in the first half.
It did.
Like, we came out kind of like, we're the top 10 team, we're the undefeated team. We've already, we've arrived. And they came out like, we know we're good, but we need to prove it to everybody else out there. And I think, Jimmy Dykes may have even said, like, this feels like a must-win game for Arkansas. And they treated it that way. We didn't. And that's disappointing because you should treat every game like it's, Pat Kelsey preaches, the next thing's the most important thing in the history of the program. They didn't act like it last night in the first half. They did in the second, which was great, but no excuse to not come out like their house is on fire every single time they play from this point forward because they've done it twice now. Once was too many. Twice is definitely too many. Let's be in our full game mode from the opening tip every night for the rest of the season. Texas says, was it professional or unprofessional for the TV announcers to never mention that Kenny Payne was our former coach, that he did a terrible job, and that we are back to being a top 10 team despite the damage he did to the program?
I'm glad they didn't put any recognition on Kenny being a coach. He was so bad at his job they couldn't even mention that he did it.
I was going to say the same thing. I don't know if it's professional or unprofessional, but I did like it because I thought that it was going to become this, they were going to spend like 35 minutes talking about it, and it just simply wasn't the case. One thing too, so I've watched a lot of basketball this season on, like the Fox and the FS1 coverage is so much better than the ESPN coverage. The product is incredible. And the biggest thing, and I thought it was just kind of an anomaly early on, every game on ESPN, the crowd noise is so low. Like, I'm watching videos from people who are actually at the game, and the place is going nuts. You're watching on TV. It sounded like a morgue on TV. That's ridiculous. One of the best things that college basketball has going for it, and one of the things that people point to who prefer the college game to the NBA game, is you've got that intensity of the arenas. You got the students chanting the entire time. You got the place going nuts. Like, you need to play that up the crowd noise. Like, no ESPN game gives you that feeling of, oh man, what a hostile environment. The students are right on top of the court. It sounds quiet. Like, I don't need to hear Carl Ravitch and Jimmy Dykes crystal clear. I want to hear the crowd a little bit. Give me some sense of when they're going nuts and when they've really stepped it up. Last night was terrible. It was awful. Their basketball production is absolute crap.
CBS, Fox, way better.
We get CBS this weekend, though, thankfully. Texture says, I think last night showed how important it is to get Cason Pryor healthy. He's going to be key against more physical teams, even with him still getting his legs back. I preferred what he brought over Khalifa. He was better than Khalifa last night, no question about that. Just based on those 2 steals and breakaway, one dunk and one, I thought he almost died. Finish. Yeah, I think that getting Cason back it'll help.
It'll be very important, I think, going forward for him to get back healthy. Because then he can actually be a good defender for us.
Yeah, we need him more than I was hoping we were going to need him. I still don't think that he needs to be a guy that's like your second best player by the end of the season, but I do think he's going to have to be a guy that we can rely on for 20-plus minutes if need be. Against certain teams. Like I said, there are certain matchups where I think Javon's going to be fine at the 4. And there are certain ones like last night where he's not. Like, he can't. There's nothing he can do to combat what Trevin Brazile does. Because I know we list Javon at 6'7". He's 6'5". He's 5 inches shorter than Brazile. He's far less athletic than Brazile. His arms are like twice the size of Brazile's, length at least wise. you can't. There's nothing you can do. It's like me trying to guard Javon. Like he's gonna get every rebound over me that he wants. Texas says CFB here. What's up, CFB? Last time I was more polite about this, but now I'm going to be more direct. This basketball team is not Final Four caliber with Hadley at the 4. He's not tall or athletic enough. Kelsey needs to either develop Kanai to the point that he can shoulder a majority of the minutes or get Kaysen healthy enough to be dependable enough to close out games. Watching Arkansas get offensive rebound after offensive rebound because they were just bigger is infuriating. It's not all on Hadley, though, because Mikel, my guy, dancing around the perimeter for 5 seconds only to take a contested 3 is not hunting great. That's a bad shot for 90% of NBA players, so please shelve that crap until it's heat check time. Also, he's been kind of a cone with his on-ball defense so far, and we need that to change. I don't disagree with any of that. I mean, I still, Mikel's, the only reason we were in the game in the second half was because of Mikel's offense. Having said that, he still took bad shots, and he didn't give us anything defensively. Mikel is the most talented player on the team. That's not a question. We are much, much better with him than we would be without him. All of these things can be true when you also say, if he doesn't improve at least a little bit defensively, we're not going to be Final Four good. Is that fair?
I mean, I feel like trying to give him the easy way out there. You were bad, Mikel, defensively.
He was.
Every time, I mean, he turned his hips every time Acuff started his drive, if that's who he was on. So he's got to be better. It's like he thinks he can stay in front of these guys, and he gets a little bit closer than he should, and now he's not prepared for the change of speed.
See, my big issue isn't that. It's not even that. Like, he's the only one of our guys who's not in a guarding position a lot of the time. Like, sometimes he treats it like it's an AAU game or an OTE game.
Oh, this man doesn't have the ball. He's
just
waiting to leak
there.
out. He's more worried about the leak out than what his man's doing off ball.
And that's the part of it that's not okay to me. Like, we don't need you to be Chucky Hepburn. I get that us being, like, we're probably never going to be as good defensively as we were last season because we had the best on-ball defensive player in college basketball last season. We don't need you to be that. But you can't be, AAU guy that's just standing out there and letting everybody go around them. You got to at least give us something on that end. We don't need to be a great defensive team to be Final Four good. We have to be a good defensive team. And last night, I did not think we were close to being a good defensive team.
Freshman stuff with him off the ball still. You can see it. Like, you watch Ryan Conwell off the ball and how many times his eyes turn from the ball to his man within a 5-second span versus how many times Mikel.
For sure.
It's Mikel's looking over once or twice. I'm surprised he hasn't gotten backdoored more this season.
Totally agree. It's 100% accurate. If you watch him off the ball, he's kind of just standing there. And then on the ball, like, the thing is, we know he's got lateral quickness. We see it on the offensive end.
Yeah.
So when that's the case, it's just about want.
And another thing is, I struggle with complaining about it in live time because I know he's a ball hawk.
Sure.
Part of him watching the ball is because he thinks if it gets thrown over to this court, this side of the floor, I have the speed and athleticism to go take it out of the air. And he does. So I'm thinking, is he just waiting out there for that? Is he waiting out there for that? Is that why you're ball watching so hard? Because I've seen him do it. But now his man's getting into position to catch the ball and get downhill on the catch.
I totally agree on all that. And, we've seen him. I think the Cincinnati game, he had the 2 picked off passes that turned into dunks the other way. So, like, we've seen the benefit of that. Mm-hmm. But more times than not, I mean, like, that stuff's going to show up on film. And a well-coached team is going to see that, and they're going to exploit it. And, like, make no mistake, every coach in America who has Louisville on their schedule is going to have Arkansas's last 12 possessions from last night on film, and they're going to say, all right, we're screen the hell out of that kid.
Yep, get to the basket.
Every single time. If you've got a point guard who's capable of doing that, and there are lots left on our schedule, that's what they're going to do every single time until we figure out a way to stop it. And that, like, Mikel needs to take that personally, man. Like, you want to win a national title in your 1 year in college. You want to go to a Final Four in your 1 year in college. You want to win an ACC championship in your 1 year in college. You're going to have to do something about it on the defensive.
We're hard hedging because he can't stay in front and get around screens well enough.
And, like, we kept doing it because it felt like there was no
other option,
pivot. Yeah, I mean,
I don't like that as a fan. Defensively, you've got to be able to have another option there.
Yeah. Texture says, I'll add another area that needs to be addressed. Poor shot selection. Michael can get to the rim at will, but instead he's forcing up contested threes or ones from 25 feet. He needs to attack the rim and either score or draw the defense and kick it back out for open shots. I'm not concerned as long as we learn our lessons from this loss and our issues don't become habitual.
I'm not mad at the pull-up threes. I'm mad at the pull-up contested threes, maybe even off of a couple of dribbles. The 10 dribble threes, that's what's unacceptable.
Yeah. And the ones where he's like, when his body is centered, even if he's got a hand in his face, he's a pretty good shooter. When he's falling away, he's not.
Yeah, he misses well. Like, they're good misses when he's upright, when he does miss.
When he's falling away, it's short every single time. Every single time. We haven't seen him adjust since the season started.
Then you're not even giving your guys a chance at an offensive rebound there. So.
I mean, I think we've taken text now. We've talked and we've taken text for 2.5 hours. I feel like all of us are pretty much on the same page when it comes. Like, it's the same things. Like, we all think the shot selection needs to be a little bit better. We're all concerned about Javon Hadley at the 4 against teams with great size in the front court. I think we all want to see a little bit more of Kanai, and we want Kaysen to get fully healthy and help us out there. I think we're worried about Ali Khalifa and what he brings. Like, we're all in agreement, but, like, none of us are overly concerned. We haven't had one text from anybody panicking, right?
The foul trouble, no, not at all. I don't think so. The foul trouble, there was somebody on Twitter last night that was.
Well, it's during the game on Twitter.
That's a whole different ball game, but he was saying crazy stuff. Like, we shouldn't be. I don't even need to repeat it.
This is why you can't tweet during. I mean, like, we all have thoughts during games, right, that are just nonsensical.
Kelsey can't recruit. These aren't Division I athletes. I mean, that's just.
I mean, every game my dad has ever watched, he's like, this is pathetic. Like, we're gonna get blown out. I'm like, Dad, it's 2-0. Like, calm down. Like, if he was tweeting those thoughts, he would look like a madman. Like, we all have. Like, everyone needs to take a breath during the actual game. If you feel the same way 24 hours later, then by all means express that opinion.
I do think Adrian Woolley was more suited for this game than Ryan Conwell, and I really wish the foul trouble just kind of ruined that.
They brought him in super early, too. I think that Pat Kelsey agrees with you. I think that was part of the game plan. He was the first guy off the bench.
He plays through contact better than Ryan Conwell as a ball handler.
He does. They brought him in very early on, and then, bam, he picked up 2 quick fouls. And then they brought him back in, and like
another quick one immediately.
Quick foul, he gets 3. Second half, boom, he's got 4. Like, I think that he factored in the game plan last night way more than he wound up actually factoring into it. I think that the plan was to play him a lot more than they actually did, because I think he saw the same things that you did, and I agree with both of you. Texture says, against the 3 Power 5 foes that we faced thus far, Michael is 7 of 42 from 3, 16.7%. And 38% from the field. Jeez, is that right? Away from the basket, he's extremely inefficient. If we're going to compete against Sweet 16 caliber competition, his green light needs to turn yellow. He can pad his stats against the bottom feeders, but he doesn't need to take 8 threes against ranked teams. He isn't good enough yet. See, I don't even think that he doesn't need to take 8 threes. If he's taking good threes or average threes.
Yeah, I'm okay with him going 2 for 8 if it's 8 good attempts.
And I think if he took 8 good attempts, he wouldn't go 2 for 8. He's taking terrible shots, and he's making like 16% of them and feeling like that justifies continuing to take them. Like I said at the beginning of the show, when he's in rhythm and he's got a semi-clean look, I think he's a great shooter. When he's taking the shots that he took last night, he's not a great shooter. He's a 15% shooter. Mm-hmm. Shot selection has to improve. But I think we're all in agreement, too. The lesson that needs to be learned from last night is option 1 for this offense needs to be tilting the floor and getting Michael going towards the basket.
I mean, that should be common sense. Mike.
I agree.
We've played If you've played basketball, you know. Wait. Okay, put you in the defender's shoes. If you're a defender who's guarding someone you know you can't guard, he's blown by you 2 or 3 times in a row. What are you doing? You're taking a step off of him. Mm-hmm. Now what? Now he has daylight in front of him to get his shot off.
Or if you're a coach, you're saying to the help defender, like, hey, man, cheat over. And you can't cheat over against this team. Because if you do, McNeely, 3. Conwell, 3. Hadley, 3. Like, it should make, like, that should be the building block of our offense. Not passes around the perimeter. It should start with either throwing the ball inside or letting Michael get himself inside. And when we did that in the second half, guess what? We scored 52 points. Not saying it's quite that simple, but that needs to be plan A on almost every offensive possession. Get him moving towards the basket. Texter says, fellas, do you think PK, first-time texter, do you think PK ever tries K9 or Pryor at the 5 against a team that wants to get downhill like that? Yeah. I think he'll
Just a
play
matter of
Kaysen.
time with Kaysen, I believe.
I think it'll be Kaysen. I mean, Kanai played the 5 a little bit last year, didn't he? For like a couple spurts late in the season.
Yeah, but I don't know if that was what they wanted to be happening.
Kaysen played the 5 a little bit. I think that they will.
Kanai rebounded well in those minutes at the 5 last year. I remember that. I don't know if he did anything offensively.
Kanai can be a really good rebounder. I think that's an area where he could really help us, especially against a team like Arkansas. I think Kaysen will end up getting minutes at the 5 as the season goes on, because I think there are going to be teams where we can't play on it. There it is. I was waiting for it. Texter says, bottom line is you can't get down 20 and expect to win a game. It's great that they fought back, but unless you miraculously wake up from deep, it's just too hard to make that comeback, get the lead, and keep the lead. Lots of tape used to get better, so that's nice, and I expect that we'll shoot and rebound a bit better against the IU game, in the IU or the Tennessee game, so we'll be all right. Punch in the mouth is good. Ideally, you don't need to figure that out to get all your strengths and weaknesses, but alas, last year's team got way better after getting punked, and this team can do the same. Agreed. Totally agree. Yeah, I mean, I got the sense if we just played average in the first half, we'd probably win that game, which sucks. Let's take a break. When we come back, final segment of the day, we'll run through the text line, make some predictions for the games ahead in the night in sports, and then we'll call it a day. It's the Mike Rutherford Show, 1450-96.1 The Big X.
And when you're out
how does this song fit into the whole "Don't Worry, Be Happy" theme of the day?
Well, I just feel like we had a lot of complaints there that last.
Oh, so we
were being driven
going a little crazy,
but not upset or mad or anything. Just
okay. I'm fine with that. It's all right. It is the 5 o'clock hour now of the Mike Rutherford Show, presented by United Mechanical, 1450 96.1 Big X Sports Radio.
I also partially took blame.
You did?
Did you notice that I didn't play the Mini Man yesterday?
I knew that something was different.
It's the one song that was different yesterday.
And then you worked in the...
I played the Superstition instead because it was probably not smart.
Okay, well, we can work with this, though. Because the fact of the matter is now, we're undefeated with many men on the show.
Yes.
Bring it back for tomorrow. See how we play against Indiana on Saturday.
Okay.
And then we're good.
All right.
And then we got a week off next week. God, we could use a game. It's gonna feel weird having I guess we'll have volleyball, but we'll have nothing really to talk about until we get closer to the end of the week and Friday. I guess we'll know what bowl game we're gonna be in, which is something. But it's gonna be like a little bit of a summer radio next week at times. But we'll figure it out. We'll get the music ready. Did you see Trevin Brazil throwing the L's down after the game last night?
No.
Oh yeah. He did I guess he did the radio interview. It wasn't just him, it was kind of the whole team. They were behind Dykes and Ravitch, and they all were like together throwing L's down. They have one of their walk-ons also looks like he's like 5'4", 185 pounds. But yeah, Brazil, they all were doing the L's down. I'm watching the video right now. I get that you play for Kentucky's old coach, but like, why? Why does this have to be a thing?
They want it to be a thing. We just got to play them again and beat them.
He also said we got no puppies over here. All dogs. Whatever. Look, they earned the right to talk that talk.
Yeah.
After last night. So it is what it is. Cards now still in good shape. Number 13 in the net rankings as of today. John Calipari, now 20-8 in games against Louisville. It doesn't bother me as much. I saw some fans who were like, this bothers me just as much as the Calipari losses at Kentucky. I never for 1 second felt like last night's game was like it had the feel of a Kentucky game. It's laundry. Calipari, I didn't like him before he got the Kentucky job, but my disdain for him was deeply rooted in his situation as the coach of the Kentucky basketball team. It's like I don't hate Arkansas as much as I hate Kentucky. I don't hate John Calipari as much as I did when he was the coach at Kentucky. It's pretty straightforward. Like last night's loss did not bother me nearly as much as any of the losses that we took to him when he was the coach at Kentucky. That's the way that it goes. Is what it is.
Not even close.
Not even close. 502-414-1450. You got about 20 minutes left to have your thoughts heard on the radio. We'll take some texts, and then we'll make some predictions for the night ahead in sports. Big, big, big night for my Detroit Lions. Need this one desperately. We'll make some predictions as far as whether or not we think we're going to get it. Texter says, well, fellas, there's always next year to go 40-0. 39-1 is the new goal. Kobe couldn't guard anybody on that team, but it is a team full of NBA guys. But still, anytime you play a Cal team, expect them to shoot 1 billion free throws. The Michael Brown dunk made me yell random words that didn't make sense. And we would have won if that travel had been called. That was a walk, by the way. Or Frew was able to grab that ball that instead bounced out of bounds when we were down 6. I knew they were going to get the ball and either get fouled or score. Oh, well, can't win them all. Yeah, the Brazil travel that didn't get called was bad. We were down 5, had the momentum. They didn't get that call, and then they called the foul after that. It was terrible. I don't think that Kobe couldn't guard anybody on that team. Did he mean Michael, maybe? I think Kobe can guard those guys.
Kobe defended Acuff like 2 or 3 different times very well.
He got called for a quick foul early because he was being overly physical with him. But when he was in there, he didn't play much last night, but when he's in there, I thought he defended well. Texture says, I realize you guys have to tiptoe around it, but Michael's defense was beyond abysmal. I don't think we've tiptoed around it. It's bad. Doesn't have to be a great defender. Can't be a bad defender if you're going to play point guard in this system. Texas Mike, I know you said in the past that we don't have the NIL in football to compete with the big boys, but after yesterday's report of a commitment to Jeff Brom that he'll have enough to win a national title, how much of that do you believe, and how close do you think we can actually come to that? This is a great question. Like, I don't want to. It feels too good to be true, right?
A little bit.
I mean, we know we've got a ton of money for basketball because we care more about basketball than we had individuals in this community who straight up, when Pat Kelsey got the job, were like, I'm giving $1 million to basketball. And I'm matching, if you give $1 million, I'm giving $1 million. And we quickly raised $1 million, and that was 2 quick $1 million for Pat Kelsey and the basketball program. So we know that the basketball program is going to be well funded around here. Like, where do we come up with the money for football's a different animal entirely. Yeah, you're talking about Kentucky having $22 million to pay for basketball and it being outrageous. Football rosters, we're talking about, there was rumors that Ohio State's roster is like $1 billion worth of money. Where do we come up with that amount of money? So
Lamar Jackson.
I mean, yeah, can Lamar even fund that much at this point?
Jair, what you got left in the tank? Send us a little something.
I mean, I have to answer your question, I have a hard time believing that we're going to raise the same level of money to fund our football program as Ohio State, Alabama, whoever.
Tyler, you practically owe us. You wouldn't be making that money without us.
Do you see the Tyler Shuck video that's going around now? He's throwing some dots out there, man. Like that
on the run.
His highlight film's looking pretty good. But I mean, when they say we'll give you enough to win a national title, that's not them saying we're going to give you more than anybody in college football. It's them saying, like, we're going to give you enough to use your superior coaching skills to go out there and win with limited talent compared to the Ohio States, the Oregons, the Bamas of the world. At least that's the way that I interpret it. Like, we're never going to be in a position where we can raise as much as Ohio State. But maybe they think that we can raise as much as, like, Indiana and do what they're doing. The problem is we don't have the conference affiliation that gives us that extra buck. We're not a Big Ten or an SEC program. And every Big Ten, non-Big Ten, non-SEC program, including the Ohio States and the Clemsons of the world, is at a financial disadvantage just by not being a member of the conferences with the biggest TV contracts and the most money to go around. So I think I am understandably hesitant to buy into that. Like everybody else, I hope it's the case, but I'm going to need to see it. Chris the Plumber said, Cal is U of L's kryptonite. He always makes them pee their pants. It doesn't matter, the coach or players. It's so odd. I don't even know if this was a Cal thing. Like, UK, sure. Yeah.
Cal rosters, more times than not, the way that they're built, take advantage over rosters that aren't built the same way.
I agree with that.
That's why Michigan State beat them. Built similarly.
I would buy into this more if we had, like, none of our guys even know about the Calipari U of L rivalry. Maybe they're aware of it, but it's not like that would be in their head.
Kelsey doesn't even probably know what Cal's record versus U of L was.
Right. I mean, do you think Michael Brown was going in there being like, man, I just can't believe he beat Pitino back in 2013 with that 2013-14 twice. I think about that Sweet 16 game all the time. Like, he didn't care. It was Arkansas. It was a good team with good players. Michael's more worried about going up against those two freshman guards. He's more worried about winning the head-to-head with Darius Akoff.
He is.
Like, that's what's in his mind. He doesn't care about Calipari. But, I mean, whatever the reason, there's no question we can't beat him. So, Texas, do you guys think that if the game was still going on, that the Cards would have started guarding Brazil by now? Mike, I know you have a controversial strategy. Got to make shots. I'll stand by it. And I hope that this isn't too controversial, but I think you also got to guard the guy who is making shots. I agree with that. And then giving up a backdoor oop with about 2 minutes left really hurt. Please give Kenai more minutes. That was a bad one. And they pulled everybody. That was Javon, I believe, because they pulled Frew out for the pick and roll, and then Javon, it was either him or McNeely, just like we're standing there doing nothing as Brazil crashed the glass and was there for an easy catch and dunk. That was frustrating. No question about it. I mean, look, Brazil, like, all he does is shoot open threes and score at the rim. And we let him do both things last night. Yeah. There's Texas. Hey, Mike, Crib Guy here. What's up, Crib Guy? Not trying to pile on with Hadley today. poor Javon. I hope he's not listening. We love Javon Hadley, right? Like,
Big Javon fan.
We all love Javon Hadley.
Great teammate.
We just recognize the limitations that he has, being the size that he is, trying to play the four in a game like last night's. Crib Guy says, but it seemed like last year, offensively, he had a knack for always being in the right spot and even more so finishing tough shots around the rim. Am I crazy for thinking that he's been kind of lost on the offensive end, never really knowing where he is on the floor, and having a really rough time finishing around the rim? Just looks like a different player to me offensively.
We played slower.
We did.
Last year. There's a lot of Javon getting to take his time when he gets the ball and he knows that he's the scoring threat back to the basket. Also, I mean, I know he's playing in the same spot. He's just had bigger guys on him this year in those moments, and we're not really going to our front court players in the half court like that, not to create with their back to the basket. I mean, Javon was our go-to option when we wanted to go into the paint more times than not. If it wasn't from a slash from Chucky or from Terrence, it was trying to get a lob for James or trying to get Javon on the block with a favorable matchup. We don't go to that. It's kind of like he's lost his comfortability in trying to go find that because he's not getting asked to do that. So
it does feel like he's a guy, he's kind of a man without a country right now. He's trying to figure out what exactly his role is on this team offensively. And you know, it was pretty simple last year. You know, we initiated our offense last year with Terrence or Chucky driving pretty much every single time. And for Javon, that meant hang out on the perimeter if I'm being guarded by a bigger guy who has to help cut off the drive.
Or if Rain's not in.
Yeah, if Rain's not in. And then
when Rain was in, he was true 4.
If he was being guarded by a smaller guy, he did that, like, butt out, like just backing a dude in. Like, that was his go-to move all the time. And
scored 30 on like that.
Yeah, it worked out pretty well for him. I think that he's been fine this year outside of the Cincinnati and the game last night where it seemed like the things that he does well he couldn't do them against that type of front court. But it's different when you're sharing the court with 3 lethal outside threats, and that's option 1 for your team, as opposed to last year where it was like 1 guy that's a lethal outside threat, 2 guys that will take the outside shot but are more comfortable scoring inside the arc, and then you kind of are the Swiss Army knife. Like this year, he's I don't know what his role is.
It needs to be get it and go. Every time you touch the ball, go get to the rim. You trust your ball handling ability. I trust your ability to keep your dribble alive when you get down there. Go throw a shoulder into somebody. Get to the rim.
Yeah. I mean, it also doesn't help that he's shooting like 20%.
That's the only issue is that, I have no confidence when he gets fouled. So
he's shooting a 20% higher percentage from 3 than he is at the free throw line right now. That's got to get.
He needs to add the deep breath to his free throw routine.
He's got to do something different because it's not working right now. Texas Mike, I think that more needs to be said about Michael's running at the point guard position. He is so busy trying to hunt his own shot instead of effectively running the offense. I feel if he paid more attention to running the offense, we could have pulled that game out. Just my 2 cents. I think it's easier for him to do that if we get him going towards the basket. Like I think everybody, almost everybody, watching the game last night had the same thought as me, which is like, go to the rim. Get to the rim. You're getting there at will. Keep doing it. Don't stop. Go to the rim and then funnel back out and then get an outside shot as a product of the offense. We don't need him, like Roman said, we don't need him dribbling for 15 seconds and then taking a challenge 3 from 25 feet. That's
not good for anybody.
Dead offense. We need him going to the basket. Force the defense to be scrambling the entire time. And the only way to start that process is either throwing the ball down to a big in the paint or getting a point guard, beating his man off the bounce. And Michael can beat anybody off the bounce. That's the thing that drives me crazy. We have a NBA point guard playing college basketball right now, and we're not letting him tilt the court enough. Texter says, my anger outbursts were at any time that Roots, Pryor, and the Egyptian magician shot a 3. This is the guy who said yesterday that we need 0 attempts from 3. I thought about you, Texter, yesterday. The first time that I think we had back-to-back possessions where Kanai pulled and then Ali pulled, and I was like, that Texter's got to be furious right now. He hated it. All 3 of them shot 3s, and I think they went a combined 0 for 4. Texter says, I watched the second half on mute too, LOL. It was a lot better. Texter says, a lot of disappointments last night, highlighted by Arkansas's dominance on the offensive glass, but Michael's poster being number 1 on SportsCenter's top 10 did make the loss go down a little easier. Was it number 1?
I'm surprised it made number 1.
Should have been number 1. That was insane. Texas, I didn't like that Kelsey kept taking Frew out, and we need more from McNeely. I mean, I think Sananda played the most minutes he has all season, right?
29 minutes.
Surely he hadn't played more than that in a game. right?
He's been in that 26 range.
Yeah, he hadn't come close. I'm looking at the game log. He played 25 against UK, 23 against Cincinnati. That was the most minutes he's played all season. So
I don't know how much more we can really get from McNeely.
I think we can get a little bit more.
Defensively, yeah.
See, I don't even know.
The ball's not in his hands offensively. He's coming off those down screens, stagger screens out on the side. He makes good decisions when the shot's not there versus Rain, not necessarily making bad decisions, but Rain had to give it up there. Rain couldn't hold on to the ball and let for guys reset off the ball. He'd get hounded in those situations. Other than the rare time he did actually go to the basket where the defense is giving him. I think McNeely just needs to continue to take what the defense gives. I feel like he will pass up a three, make a good movement, kind of set himself up for another lane to go and create a shot for somebody, but won't really take it. Doesn't really take what the defense gives because he's not being put in those scenarios in this team like he was last year. So it's only a matter of him getting more comfortable off ball getting more comfortable doing things that aren't shooting off the ball. And then defensively, I think someone needs to be constantly yelling at McNeely at all times defensively, just telling him where to go and where to be.
I'd like to see there were a couple times last night where Isaac pump faked and got his guy off the ground and then just did nothing with that advantage. Yeah. Either step back and shoot the three while the guy's in the air or go to the basket.
I'll even accept the McNeely mid-range.
Yeah, he can finish at the rim. And if he gets fouled, he's an 85% free throw shooter or whatever. Yeah, he talked about wanting his game to be unleashed this season. Let's see it a little bit. I think that was probably, anytime you bring in an established player from another program, one of your pitches is like, well, we're going to let you do the things that they wouldn't let you do at that other program. It almost never happens. We talked about Noah Locke on yesterday's show. He was the same player here that he was at Florida and Providence and everywhere else. Isaac, I think, can do more off the bounce than he's showing so far this season. And even Rain, times last year, got to the rim a little bit and had success there. Isaac's more capable of doing that than Rain was last season. He's bigger, more physical, I think better finisher.
Isaac's not comfortable. Like these guys they'll run him off of the screens because they'll stay attached to his hip, to his back, so he knows he's going to get blocked from behind, but he doesn't really go forward much when in those moments. He just needs to just take the line drive if you get it.
Texas Hadley seems like he's trying more finesse crap around the basket this year instead of last year's intelligent play, taking it strong versus taller players. It's almost as if he's trying to compete with Michael Brown or impress him.
No.
Oh, do we think Javon Hadley's trying to impress the 19-year-old sensation?
No.
I like the take, though.
I think he's overly buying into trying to find perfect shots, and those don't really exist much.
Texas, did you all see when Michael and Kenai got into it for a second? Couldn't tell if Kenai was mad he didn't pass and took one of his off-balance shots or it was something else. Curious on your thoughts.
I watched this a few times back, and it's actually the first person who yells is Pat Kelsey.
Exactly.
He yells, I believe, at Michael first. Michael says he wasn't open. There was a set where Michael, they get the screen. Someone's screening Kenai on the left side. I believe it was Khalifa. He gets open on the screen out on the perimeter. Michael chooses not to pass it to him. Drifts a little bit further to the right side. Chooses not to pass it to him again to, I guess, start the Kenai drive or whatever it is that Kenai's going to be doing in that action. Kenai's not able to do it because he doesn't get the ball. Pat Kelsey doesn't understand why that happens. Snaps at Kenai or Michael first. Michael's like, he wasn't open. He looks over at Kenai, kind of snaps on Kenai. Kenai snaps on him back, saying, I was open.
Yeah.
And I watched it back 2 or 3 times, and he was very, very open and actually expected the ball and didn't get it. But right after that, Michael and Kenai go up to each other and get on the same page about it. So
I think that was my same takeaway from the situation because, like you, I rewound it a little bit. I'm like, what's going on there? And it did look like it was a play where it was supposed to go to Kenai. He was open. But then I felt like Kelsey started yelling at Kenai, too, after he yelled at Michael.
He did.
Yeah.
Kenai yelled back.
Yeah. Like they clearly all had something to say to one another, but it seemed like it was fine afterwards.
Yeah, I watched what Kenai yelled over and over because I couldn't tell, and I finally realized he was saying, I was open. So
Texas, you guys said it before the season, and you were completely right. For this team to reach its potential, Pryor or Roots has to be the guy at the 4 spot. There will still be Javon games, but only playing Kenai 9 minutes in that game was super disappointing. PK has to be better. Still think this team is a Final Four team, and we figure it out. I kind of agree. Texas, hey guys, first-time texter. To your point on the B-ball team from last year, after 11 games last year, thank you, and the UK game, we were 6-5. We've been blown out by UT and Ole Miss and handled by Duke. This team will be fine. We haven't had a talent like Michael since LeBradford Smith, and he's played 8 games. Other note, did you see what I saw? That Kayson's legs didn't quite work right on that dunk. I hope he's okay. Yeah, he almost didn't make it.
He jumped a little bit too early and wasn't prepared to not get much of a look.
I mean, when he didn't get there, I thought he hurt something again.
I thought he was going to get rim stuffed.
Yeah, it was. We needed that point too, and I was like, oh God, please, please,
like miss it.
Please finish. Yeah, I mean, I think that we will. I don't want to compare where we were last year to where we are now because I think our expectations are to be better than an 8 seed that has to be damn near perfect in the ACC to make the tournament, which is why, like I mentioned, the non-conference schedule, a lot of these teams not looking quite as strong as we thought they were going to be a couple weeks ago. We got to get the job done here. These next, like, we can't allow this loss to snowball. Like Indiana is a very important game on Saturday.
Must-win game.
It's not. I did not say that. If we lose, we get to keep playing. It's not a must-win. But you need to at least win 2 of these 3 games to feel good about yourself going into the new year and starting conference play. I know we got to beat Montana as well right before Christmas.
Cincy and Kentucky make me think you need all 3.
It would be nice to have all.
Having
3.
lost to Arkansas, now you needed to go 3-1 in this stretch.
Yeah, I mean, let's say that we beat Indiana, we beat Memphis, we lose to Tennessee. I don't know if you've got a non-conference win. You've got like 4 nice non-conference wins, but I don't think you have one that like shines really brightly on your resume if you're trying to compete for a top 3 seed,
or that makes you feel confident that you can go and beat one of the top
for sure
5 best teams, 10 teams in the nation.
Yeah, you don't want to go into the NCAA tournament being like,
I've not seen anything.
You know, I don't know if we can win a national title because we haven't beaten any of the other best teams that are in this tournament. We'll get 2 cracks at Duke. We will play Baylor on Valentine's Day. But I mean, if you're the ACC's improved, but who in this league
is a contender?
Yeah, besides us and Duke, do you look at and say they could go to a Final Four, they can win a national title? I don't think that team's out there.
I don't either.
Like I don't think that there's not that type of win. So we will once again go into February and be like, we've got more to lose than to gain pretty much every time we step on the court, and you don't want to have that feeling with a non-conference resume that's not propping you up, which is why these next 3 games are so critical. Texter said, well, we're running out of time here. Oh, my God. We have like 85 unread texts. I'm so sorry. Texter says, what really put me over the top in my Dawn Staley dislike was when she went on a 5-minute diatribe when an opposing coach gave her team a compliment by saying, you play like South Carolina. You play South Carolina, it's like a bar fight, and she took it as an insult. Yeah, that's not cool. Louisville, South Carolina, again, tonight, 7 o'clock. ESPN has the TV coverage. If it's a stripe out, if you're in an odd section, wear black, even section, wear white. Let's get it going. Texas, I've heard Braum was very close to leaving for Penn State. Should we be concerned moving forward? Would love Braum to retire here, hero. I don't know who you heard that from. Braum was not close to leaving Penn State. Texas, thank you, Mike, for saying men are dramatic and cocky, too, regarding Dawn Staley. They are. No, there's no question about that. Like I said, I'm fine with Dawn Staley. Texas, it's a must-win, Mike. That seems overdramatic. It's not a must-win. This is what you did, Roman. Texas, Will Stein is absolutely trying to be Signetti.
Yes.
I think that's exactly what's happening right here.
But that should be the goal, too. So,
yeah. Texas, any truth to what Diener said about the football team having only roughly the 10th highest NIL in the ACC? If so, then it changes how I see his success. Having roughly the same money as Cal or Stanford, he's doing a heck of a job. I can't tell you exactly. Drew might have a better handle on that than I do. I can't tell you exactly where it is. I know it's not close to the top 5 teams in the ACC. And I know that it's a point of contention. And I think that is the only thing that might push Jeff away when all's said and done. Real quick, Roman, tonight, NFL, big one for the Lions. Big one for the Cowboys. Kind of feels like an elimination game. Lions, Cowboys, 8:15 on Prime Video. Who you got? I can tell. I don't even say it. I know where you're going.
I don't believe that. I don't trust that much money coming in on the Cowboys. I think the Lions are favored for a reason. I think it's kind of a bit. They haven't seen a Jahmyr Gibbs. That's why the rushing numbers have been better these last 3 weeks. Gibbs gets off on them, surprises them, shocks them. Tonight, Lions get a win here before ultimately losing their next game and not being in the playoff race as much as they'd like.
I don't love that last. You completely did not need to include that last part. But Lions win by 3 tonight. Louisville, South Carolina, 7 o'clock tip-off. Who you got?
Give me Louisville.
Oh, okay.
I think we can get the job done.
I don't think we get the job done. Hope I'm wrong. Ticket punchers are up next. We're back tomorrow at 2:30. Go Cards.
Go Cards.
And industrial HVAC, electrical, plumbing, and refrigeration.